Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Super Bowl's only a few days away. Perloff and myself down here in New Orleans on Radio Row. Welcome to the show. Day 2 in New Orleans, Perloff, and all anyone can talk about is whether or not the Chiefs are still getting favorable calls by the referees and whether or not this entire game, I guess, is some kind of charade, a facade, that there's already been a predetermined outcome that the Chiefs are going to win. I mean, I kid a little bit, but Roger Goodell was answering questions about that yesterday.
Of course he is. And you sort of have to laugh when you say that. Talk to not any football fan, but you understand there's a large chunk of American football fans who think that there is an officiating bias.
Okay,
chunk.
Okay, but do those same people, and we're talking across the country to lots of smart football fans, do you think that bias exists in every other sport, A, and B, do you think that it's, literally determining the outcome of the game, or do you think that these biases are home field biases, a little bit of the home cooking, a little home court advantage, or do you think that it's actually something where, not that they're sitting around the commissioner's office and deciding who's going to win this game. I think that's patently ridiculous. They leaned into this in a funny way with a commercial many years ago about the air quotes script. They started doing, a no hands catch, and all these silly things to try to make fun of it. But I don't think that this is all rigged. I think there is a little home cooking. I think that happens in every single sport, and I think that's why teams fight so hard to get home field advantage, because those 50-50 calls may go your way.
We're in New Orleans right now.
Yes, we are. I know.
As far as I know, Kansas City Chiefs do not play in New Orleans. Do you not think that Patrick Mahomes is good? First of all, it's more star treatment than home field. I think it's the Mahomes factor. But one thing I disagree with, officiating does determine the winner. Some people say that teams should not talk about officiating, but let's face it, the way the NFL is set up right now, it's such a thin margin because of the salary cap. Games are so close and calls are so important. I think the NFL sets himself up for trouble in so many ways with officiating. First of all, roughing the passer is a disaster.
Yeah.
Their safety rules are so impactful. Basically, you work so hard to get a sack and you give the other team a first down. So that, I think fans have a huge problem with. Defensive pass interference is just very impactful, but you can throw a 60-yard pass and get a penalty. And you just know the Eagles Chiefs is going to come down officiating. So just the idea that officiating is not critically important. I'm not sure that's exactly what you're saying.
No, I think
but
it's
it is
important.
Critically important. So if it balances one way just a little bit, that is a big deal.
I thought you were bringing up the fact that we're in New Orleans and we've got a lot of very nice people around here, troopers and people who are keeping us safe. I thought you were bringing up the fact that the NFC Championship game, the Saints got hosed on a call. But let's be fair.
That's a good point. I actually should have done that.
A lot more football after that terrible call happened. I know.
No. See, we're not even having a discussion. If you think there's any other factor in that game, that was the pass interference game.
It was a huge call. It was also Drew Brees against Jared Goff. I'm just saying.
That was the game.
It was a terrible, terrible call. But here's the thing about the Chiefs and about the whole league. Let's hear from Goodell first. Manny, let's play a little of Roger Goodell's press conference from yesterday where he was answering questions about the fact that the Chiefs get these sort of favorable calls. So let's hear first the commissioner saying that this is all ridiculous.
I think the men and women that officiate in the NFL are outstanding. They have the highest possible standards. That's ridiculous theory for anyone who might take it seriously. But at the end of the day, it's something we always have to continue to work on. How do we make our officiating better at all times?
More from Goodell saying that the Chiefs' conspiracies remind him of those NFL script conversations.
Sort of reminds me a little bit of the script, right? That I write a script, and I have the script for the entire season. Listen, I think from a lot of those theories are things that happen in social media, and they get a new life.
So he also went on to say that the fact that on TV you have rules analysts, people that are hired by the networks, former officials who are like the Gene Sterators or whatever, who sit there and try to explain it. He said they play an integral role because they also have to explain the rules. And I think that's a problem with the NFL because the rule book is so ridiculously thick and complicated and at times contradictory, in my opinion, and you have no idea what a catch is. You don't, I don't, Gene Steratore might not. We could have three totally different opinions on what a catch is. Defensive holding, defensive pass interference. So who pushed off? All this stuff is so subjective that yeah, you're going to get a little gray area. You're going to get a little bit of, 50% love it, 50% hate it. I don't think that the NFL fans really think this is all the fix is in.
Well,
Can you put a poll up, EJ?
yeah.
Do you think the NFL's fixed? I don't know if you want to just word it that way, or do you think the Chiefs are getting
put two
calls?
balls up. Do you think the Chiefs get an officiating bias? Yes
Yeah.
or no? I think most people think that's true. And you're right.
But is it home field? Yeah.
But I think it's also star. I mean, the Chiefs went on the road last year and got through it. I think it's also star treatment with Mahomes. But one thing, by the way, nobody thinks Roger Goodell is smart enough to write the script. I wanted that was a totally egotistical. I mean,
you're gonna get us kicked out of here.
I mean, Roger Goodell is not writing the script. We all assume that there's somebody in a back room writing the script. So that was ridiculous for him to take credit for that. But also, too, I actually did not hear the thing about the officiating, but I hate the officiating experts because it's like hearing
State TV.
It's here. Yeah, they totally support their. They were in a strong union for many years. They're not going to rip their cohorts so it's very hard for I think officiating people to be objective. So they always favor whatever the call on the field was. I mean, come on. The thing about Roger Goodell, it's like it's not him per se, but the NFL is known liars. They've been lying about concussions or been trying to for 50 years.
Yeah.
They've been lying. They're a huge corporation. Every huge corporation lies. That's their nature. Well, you think an oil company is getting up and saying, we love the environment? Do you take that stuff seriously? No. People are obviously smartly skeptical of giant companies, and the NFL is a giant company, so why would you trust them? I think by nature that no one's going to trust a $20 billion company.
Okay, so there's some data to back this up if you want. So, Goodell's saying that it's ridiculous about the Chiefs and about them getting calls. Let me try to explain a graphic that was put up on TV by ESPN, which is one of the corporate partners of the NFL, someone they have a lot at stake together. Now, these are Chiefs playoff penalties since 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not looking at the whole season here. Yes, the whole season, we know Josh Allen gets more calls. We know the Bills get more calls. We know that the Chiefs get flagged a lot. But we're just talking about playoff penalties since 2021. Chiefs have been called for 36 penalties. Opponents have been called for 66 penalties. Penalty yards. Chiefs have been flagged for 319 penalty yards. Opponents, 541 penalty yards. More penalties. Have the Chiefs had more penalties than their opponent in playoff games since 2021? 0 times they've had more penalties. Opponents have had more penalties 10 times. And more penalty yards. 1 time they had more penalty yards in a playoff game since 2021. And 10 times their opponents had more playoff yards since 2021. Again, that's numbers that are coming from a league partner of the NFL. That seems pretty stark. Now, as far as the outcome being scripted, I'm totally think that that's ridiculous. But the Chiefs actually getting calls, it happens. I think this is in line with them getting so many home games. And let's call it what it is. The Bills are still ticked off about that 4th and 1 call that Josh Allen appeared to pick up the first down. 2 officials spot the ball in 2 different places. And I think that if you said it the moment it happened, if that game's in Buffalo, he's getting the first down. I don't know if they're winning the game, but he's getting the first down. And the drive continues. So I think that they should just kind of own up home field advantage matters. They can't say that, but we all know that it's true.
Well, let me ask you a question, though. A lot of the calls are not on the home field, though. The Super Bowl, the PI on James Bradbury.
Some of those, but look at how many home games the Chiefs have had in the playoffs. This is what they get. This is to the victor goes the spoils. They keep winning so many games, and they're crushing their division that they get the number 1 seed. I know they didn't last year, and kudos to them. They went on the road, and they beat the Bills. They beat the Ravens, and they were awesome.
Where was the D Ford penalty?
That was in Kansas City.
Yeah.
But that was before 2021.
Oh, so the fix started coming in 2021?
Can I tell you another thing that I don't think helps the NFL here? And you're welcome. EJ will tell us how he words the poll. Whether or not you think that the officials are really favoring the Chiefs. You know what I don't think helped them at all? I think last year the Taylor Swift stuff got a little out of control with the Chiefs. And what I mean by that is I'm not the Chiefs, I'm sorry, the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
They were so excited about the idea of her bringing this new audience. This is all what the NFL's about. They want global dominance because they're always looking for new markets and new people to buy tickets and and raise ratings and all of that. that they got so giddy and so excited about this gift that fell from their lap. This is like the Lakers getting Luka, just fell from the sky. You get a phone call one day. Wow, one of your most famous players is dating the most famous pop star on earth. And they got so excited about it, they gave her free advertising. The networks were showing her all the time in the luxury suite. And the fact they went on to win the Super Bowl that year, it all felt a little too perfect, a little too fairy tale, when we know professional sports isn't always like that. So I don't think that the league helped themselves when they leaned into Taylor in the way they did.
Yeah, I mean, that feels like an oversimplification, though, because it feels like maybe it's just Taylor. That should be a poll question, too, is the reason that they favor the Chiefs because of Taylor Swift. I think it's more Kelsey, Mahomes. I think it's Mahomes is a big way. Like, just for some reason, Mahomes seems to get all the calls.
Okay.
I think that I'd like to see like the Chiefs bias. How tied into it is Taylor Swift? Is that I want people to call in and say, do you think it's because of Taylor Swift? I feel like watching the Chiefs, and it's also we got to remember it's their style of play. Like you can push the button on getting calls. Like,
sure. Now, to be fair, data says this year Josh Allen got more roughing the passer, roughing calls than Mahomes did. Right. And, that Josh Allen has gotten more. And by the way, both of them are not the top of the league. So they both play this sort of way where they kind of bait they try to bait the opponent into these roughing calls on the sidelines and stuff like that. Now, Roger Goodell was also asked yesterday, would he try to penalize flopping like the NBA has done? Yeah. And he's like, well, how would you define it? Like, he didn't really seem like that was a road he wanted to go down. But I think they should explore it.
But I don't think actually fans go into this much detail. Like, they're not, like, sitting and analyzing at home. They're just watching the game and saying, oh, that was a bad call. The Chiefs NFL fixed again. Yeah. I think like there's so many fans who talk like that and think like that. So many friends of mine are like, how are we going to Eagles fans are like, how are we going to overcome the Chiefs officials thing? Like, I don't think anyone's analyzing or look at the numbers. It's just a vibe that's out there in the country, and to ignore it is crazy. And to laugh at it by Roger Goodell, yeah, of course the NFL does that, but I think there's some dissonance between what the NFL is saying and even what you're saying and what the average fan thinks. I think the average fan, for whatever reason, it's become a snowball. They don't need to see the numbers. They don't need to talk about home field or talk about the roughing the passer. Like, they just think it's fixed. I think everybody just thinks, oh, man, the Chiefs are here again. That's just the way Sports America feels right now. I'm getting that vibe everywhere.
Maybe it's a little bit of piggyback, though, because you saw the Patriots get some favorable calls, and it's sort of like, and I don't even know about the data.
Where did the Patriots
the tuck rule and things like that, where it felt like, Pats were maybe getting a couple calls here and there through their dynasty, so it's like a continuation of that. I'm not sure. Again, Pats had a lot of home games.
I don't remember the Pats getting calls. I remember they should have called in the clutch in the grass for Eli. I mean, this is but
the tuck rule is one of the most famous.
Tuck rule, that was one. Yeah,
that was a really huge one. It started the dynasty.
Yeah, but that I don't remember throughout the dynasty. That was 2001 for 20 years. Like, I don't remember us sitting talking about the Patriots getting to all the calls because the NFL hated the Patriots. Like, they
despised them. Well,
they took Tom Brady's phone.
Yeah.
I mean, they abhorred there was never any level. Of the 32 teams, the most disliked by the NFL was clearly the Patriots by a mile. So I don't think that conspiracy worked the same way. The Chiefs are the nice guys. Like, it's like a nice, wholesome Midwest team, and the NFL has embraced it all. And then you're right. You add in Taylor Swift. It's like, boom, this is our perfect representative. I think it's also the Chiefsness of it all.
Okay, EJ, we got a poll question out there. How did you decide to word this one? We're asking you, do you basically think that the Chiefs get calls? How'd you put this?
So I did the first version you guys went with, or the second version. So it was, do you think the Chiefs benefit from an officiating bias?
Okay.
Right now we're at 82%. Say yes.
We put up the poll 2 seconds ago.
And me and Perloff were like doing like kind of like a little wager on like what it would be.
The landslide.
And we pretty much were right here. 82. I think he said 80. I think it's 85.
So here's the thing, though. That's why context matters, because you have to ask, why do you think they get a bias? Is it because they're good? Is it because they're home field? Is it because of Taylor? Like, why do you think they get the bias?
Yes.
We had a follow-up question to the poll. You can tell us at 855-212-4227 if you are somebody who thinks that the Chiefs get this bias. Why? Because we're witnessing a Chiefs backlash that a lot of fans that we're talking to, including Trooper Mike, who's here with us, who's keeping us safe and all that stuff, who said he didn't want to see the Chiefs. Diamond out Trooper Mike. He didn't want to see the Chiefs. A lot of people wanted some new blood. So, they're essentially, if you think they're helping the Chiefs, they're helping a team that a lot of people didn't even want to see in this game.
Well, I think it is our duty as members of the media to bring this topic up as much as possible so the Eagles get a call on Sunday. EAG. I think there is a big chunk of Philly media who's like, well, let's bring this up every day. It's kind of like how Phil Jackson used to work the officials between NBA Finals game. I feel like everybody is sort of working the officials. And I do actually, one thing about officiating, like a lot happens before the game. Like I do think like the coaches call and the teams call, the presidents call and say, hey, are you going to call this call in the game? So like it isn't, like officials come in with biases. Like they say, hey, we're going to emphasize a legal procedure in this game. So I do think the Eagles are going to probably send a video to the NFL saying, look, they're letting the left tackle on the Chiefs get away with this. Remember when the left tackles on the Chiefs were setting like 2 yards back from the line of scrimmage?
They're still the most penalized players in the league.
Yeah, and
Juwan Taylor, he's the most penalized left tackle in the league.
The Chiefs are like, well, we're going to keep doing it, and they can't call it every time. So there's also the matter of that. It's kind of like the Seattle Seahawks, the Legion of Boom. They're like, we are going to be so physical in the defensive backfield that the officials are going to get tired of calling it. So there are all sorts of little games that go on here, and I think that's why it's a topic. And I'm saying that and not in a sort of conspiracy way. I do think that there's a lot that goes into these officials. Like I think the teams work it as they should.
They should. But that also then becomes like the human bias, right? Like
right.
you not call this call because you don't want, Andy Reid all over you.
Yes,
or Nick Sirianni screaming.
That's
at
part
you.
of it too.
855-212-4227. They're human after all. Okay, if you think the Chiefs, first of all, do you think the Chiefs are getting a bias from the referees? And if so, why?
Oh, I mean,
There's plenty of stars.
You kind of convinced me why. I was like, I don't know why. Oh, Taylor Swift, right? But also too, Mahomes. He's a big star. He's in a lot of commercials.
Lamar Jackson is a star.
Michael
Josh
Jordan
Allen
got
is
every.
a star.
Michael Jordan got every call.
Well,
that's something
too.
to consider here.
Okay, we are live from Radio Row in New Orleans. Get it kicked off with a little of the commissioner of the NFL having to answer questions about the game being rigged towards the Chiefs. This is the second year in a row he's had to answer questions about that. And, considering all the gambling sponsorships and all of that, he's got to answer those questions. He says it's ridiculous. Ridiculous that the Chiefs get calls. What do you think? 855-212-4227. Awesome show today. Our guests are starting today. And it's going to be an avalanche of amazing people coming through. We're excited about that. We've also got some Charles Barkley sound for you. We've got Micah Parsons talking about crazy stuff. We'll get to it all. It's Maggie and Perloff. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. I almost feel bad for NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, Maggie.
I don't.
Yeah, I'll tell you
He's
why.
fine.
I'll tell you why. He laughed off the officiating question, the bias towards the Chiefs.
Yeah.
This could very well be a close game. It's a 1.5 point spread. You know there's going to be a critical call. If this Super Bowl on Sunday comes down to an officiating mistake, I'm going to laugh so hard at Roger Goodell. And that does not
You
prove
think
bias.
he's setting himself up?
Yeah, it does
for-
not prove bias one way or the other. But let's face it, the game moves so fast now, and the games are so close at this level. Like when I was a kid, Super Bowls were blowouts. Now they come down to the last play all the time. It is going to be high comedy because I don't think he laughed off the question. He compared the officiating bias question to the script. The idea that the NFL scripts the whole season. I don't think people are laughing. I looked at the poll results. We put up a poll. Do you think the Chiefs benefit from an officiating bias? It's down to 79% from 82% say yes. But I just think the officiating is it's going to get a lot of eyeballs.
Well, I think you're also forgetting how much the NFL or the officials got bailed out 2 Super Bowls ago, the first time we had Eagles-Chiefs.
How'd they get bailed out?
Because-
Everyone thought they might not have made that call.
No, because James Bradbury gets called for a very important defensive
Right.
holding call that basically, led to a Chiefs score that almost determined the outcome of the game, right?
What do you mean, almost?
that determined the outcome of the game. And afterwards, Bradbury said, I held him.
Got it.
If Bradbury had said, that is crap, I didn't
Got
do
it,
it,
yep.
it's a bias, then we would have talked about that for a long time. But James Bradbury sat at his locker and said, you know what, I held him. So what were we going to do? Get all riled up on his behalf? He said he committed the foul. Okay, so do you think the Chiefs enjoy a bias from the officials? Let's go to the phones, 855-212-4227. KJ's in Milwaukee. KJ, what do you think, dude?
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call, folks.
You got it.
I believe that there is definitely a bias for the Kansas City Chiefs, and I say that because I believe the storyline is built around partially the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift effect, and also the Patrick Mahomes. The idea that he could possibly take over the moniker of being the GOAT, if you will, of the league by continuing to win Super Bowls. And I think that the referee analysts do no favors for the league and the idea of there being a bias, the way that they try and explain away some of the calls that are blatantly wrong. And the way that that they inject their opinions on something that is clearly not the case. So
KJ,
I think
fantastic call, fantastic points, and I want to touch on two of them that you brought up, and thank you for it because you made two great points. We talk about Mahomes' popularity, but KJ brings up a really good twist on that. Josh Allen is popular. Joe Burrow is popular. Aaron Rodgers is popular. All these guys are popular, but nobody is challenging Brady for greatest of all time. That's what Mahomes has. Allen's not doing that. Lamar's not doing that, despite the 2 MVPs. Maybe he should be. Matthew Stafford isn't doing that. So the fact that Mahomes is challenging Brady, that leads to more of the calls. That's an interesting twist. And I think KJ is also right. And you say this all the time, the rules experts who are on TV never disagree with the guys on the field, the men and women on the field, so it feels like they're biased also. I think that's why we appreciate Aikman and Romo, at least. Those two will call it out and say, I disagree. That's a terrible call.
Come on, Daddy.
Well, I think also some of them are good. I think Blandino's great, and I think Pereira's pretty good. The original Fox guys nailed it. And then everyone tried to copy those guys and failed. Like they only last a year or two because fans can smell out fake. Tom Brady's a problem. There was a play in the Commanders game where Dallas Goedert got clearly mugged in the end zone. They should have called, and he supported the call, and that had everyone go to Twitter. Wait, what's the rule again with Tom Brady and his ownership? He's actually not supposed to criticize the officials. So that is going to be adding to this. You think it's bad to have Dean Blandino or Mike Pereira not? Like, Tom Brady's calling the game, and you're right. He's not going to do what Romo and Aikman do because he has an ownership stake in the Raiders. He can't call out a bad call.
Yeah, he literally can't. Like, they can't criticize the officials publicly. It's like very much against the ethos of being a team owner.
Right, there's a degree, right? He's supposed to go to a certain level. Didn't he have to? I think there was a story he had to check with the NFL about, did I go too far there?
Well, Roger Goodell actually mentioned it yesterday. He was asked a question about Brady and calling games and also being, as Pete Carroll said in his press conference when he took over as the Raiders head coach, Tom Brady is intimately involved here, and we knew that. He is calling a lot of the shots in Las Vegas and also now calling the Super Bowl. How could he, do this without his own bias? And Goodell said yesterday, Brady calls me after every game. And I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
That doesn't help Tom Brady.
Well, how
Call
so?
the commissioner.
What do you mean?
Well, first, is he asking him, did I do what? So now Goodell is telling him, hey, ease up on Clete Blakeman? Like, I don't. So Goodell is now, this, if you think that if you are the greatest of all time quarterback, you should have a little latitude to call the game the way you want to call it. Isn't that what Fox is paying for? Aren't they paying for him to, bless us with his infinite knowledge about the game?
Yeah, no, this is ridiculous, and it just points to this idea that he can't be objective again, or he can't. If he sees a bad call, he's got to call it out. I wonder. I hope this happens because I like awkward. I know you do too. What if there's just a third quarter, fourth quarter, they miss a pass interference call. It happens. The game was 100 miles per hour. I would love to see Tom Brady have to call out a bad call. Wouldn't that be amazing?
He
Just
won't.
to see. I mean, he might. I think he will go further than you think in this Super Bowl because I think he knows there is pressure on him.
Well, but here's the thing: calling out a bad call, 50% of the people are going to think it's not a bad call. This is what happens.
No, like an
sometimes.
openly bad call,
Yeah.
like the one. Like, for example, on the walkover, we're talking about the pass interference against the Ravens in the Bills win. Like that was
Keon Coleman and Tredavious
that was a joke when you saw it in slow mo. And actually, you don't understand. I didn't understand how the officials saw pass interference on the defense when the receiver clearly extended his arms and pushed him to the ground. So, like an obvious bad call because it happens in the NFL. You've officiated. What did you call softball?
I was certified up to JV boys and girls baseball and softball.
I used to do a lot of intramural basketball. I was wildly guessing. And that was intramural basketball. They're just too fast to call in real time. And so officiating is by nature going to be an imperfect science. I just think that part of this is fans expect it to be perfect now because there's so much technology. And the reality is that's not going to happen.
Man, I just want to have like a merch line or something where it's just a T-shirt that just says, I'm wildly guessing, Andrew Perloff.
Oh, my God. Well, by the way, anticipation calls in basketball, that is the realest thing ever. Guys during play the right, you just immediately get that whistle up to your mouth. And, like, they might not touch him, but that whistle already sounded. What am I supposed to do? 2 shots.
Man, keeping it on the level. Okay, so you can call us up, 855-212-4227. Do you think the Chiefs enjoy an officiating bias? And if so, what do you think is the biggest reason that they enjoy this bias? Andrew Bogusch is with us on this fine Tuesday. Hey, Bogusch.
Mom, Dad, good morning. Headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. The Mavericks trading Luka Doncic has had many victims, including Patrick Mahomes.
It's tough, because I feel like I've watched Luka since he was 18 years old. I remember going to a practice and it was Dirk and Luka and seeing his maturation and how great of a basketball player he's became has been fun to watch. And as a Dallas fan, it hurts me, but I'm happy for him that he's going to be able to go out there and be in LA and get to try to achieve his dream of winning a championship.
The Chiefs QB did add on Super Bowl opening night that he's excited for his Mavs moving forward with Anthony Davis. And now Mahomes' attention returns to Sunday, and specifically Eagles stud D lineman Jalen Carter.
Got to rely on my teammates, man. It's going to take everybody. I mean, that dude's a great football player, but we'll have a good game plan on trying to do whatever we can to get protection to him. But you got to account for that whole defensive line.
Carter, a huge reason the Eagles' D is first in points allowed and efficiency since Week 8. Outside New Orleans, the Texans hiring Rams passing game coordinator Nick Caley as offensive coordinator. He replaces the fired Bobby Slowick. Caley's been in L.A. the last 2 seasons after 6 years as Patriots tight ends coach. Devin Booker became the Suns' all-time leading scorer last night in Portland, but this also happened.
One more for Booker to try and tie the game. He missed it! Ayton with the rebound. He's fouled with 3.2 to play. Devin Booker was 13 of 13 from the free throw line, and he missed it.
Travis Demers on Blazers radio. Booker's missed free throw, allowing Portland to escape with a 121-119 OT win, extending their win streak to 4.
Man, if you had asked who do you think is the Suns' all-time leading scorer, do you think you would have went to Booker? He has been there a long time now. I would have went to Steve Nash probably.
Oh, I would have gone to Walter Davis.
Yeah.
Paul Westphal.
I don't know why I'm surprised by that.
Sean Marion.
Amari?
Who's
They
number
weren't
2?
there long enough.
Who's number 2?
I don't know.
Come on, man.
I don't think it was Chuck. What else you got, folks?
The other thing that I saw last night that surprised me was Andrew Wiggins pass Chris Mullin, not for first, but he has more threes as a Warrior than Chris Mullin did.
Those guys didn't shoot that many threes.
No, I know, but it just feels like Wiggins has been a Warrior for like 4 days.
Really? It just speaks to like the way the NBA is so different now. Because Chris Mullin was seen as arguably the greatest shooter on the planet when he was playing, but he probably made 2 threes a game.
Yeah, on a good night.
Sometimes 1 3 a game.
Yeah.
And, it's bizarre.
We actually got into a big Andrew Wiggins conversation yesterday on the way to the Alligator Farm.
Oh, what a day.
We will get to later in the show. It's fun to ride with us on
Maggie, blink twice if you need help.
It was a solid hour to get to the alligator farm. Such a wide-ranging conversation about Andrew Wiggins.
It was not an informed conversation about Andrew Wiggins. He's one of those guys. He's scoring 17 points a game this year. We're like, is he still in the NBA? By the way, he did pass Walter Davis.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, can I ask?
The Greyhound.
Did the conversation begin with Andrew Wiggins, or were you talking about 19 other things and then had to get to Andrew Wiggins just to fill the rest of the time?
No, we were trying to figure out where where LeBron should play next.
Yeah.
And that led to the
okay.
Warriors, where how do you fit Andrew Wiggins and LeBron together? That's how it was even worse than you think, Bogusch.
Yeah, I was afraid at that point our Uber driver, Rodell, was going to fall asleep and drive off the road just because that conversation was so colossally
He literally
boring.
did. We were on some random side road. We didn't know where we were.
Yeah, that was we had to really get out there to get to that gator farm, which, by the way, I think they kind of shortchanged themselves by just calling themselves a gator farm, but we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. Our top 5 moments from the gator farm yesterday.
All right, more basketball from last night. The Grizzlies have now won 9 of 10, 128-109 winners over the Spurs last night. Ja Morant, 25 and 11 assists after missing 2 games with a sore right shoulder. The Pacer win streak is 4 after a 112-111 final in Utah, and the Nuggets top the Pels, 125-113. Nikola Jokic, 27 points, 14 rebounds, and 10 assists. Major League Baseball fired umpire Pat Hoberg yesterday over betting concerns. No evidence that he bet on or influenced games, but he was sharing an account with a friend who bet on the sport, and Hoberg deleted pertinent texts between them at the beginning of the investigation.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait a minute.
Is that bad?
Time out.
Yeah.
Is that wrong? Who shares an account?
That I don't understand either, and this is not the first time we've had this problem. And then also deleting things is never a good look.
Yeah, I feel like Calvin Ridley or someone, maybe Jameson Williams, someone else who got one of the players, so they share an account. Why would you ever share your betting account with someone? Anyone? Perloff?
Shohei, I don't know.
I share.
You share a fantasy football
I
team
share
with someone.
fantasy football, multiple.
Yeah,
fantasy
if Shohei
football.
only knew that he was sharing that account, he was in the dark.
I've actually shared elimination pool stuff with friends. Maybe like you go down that road, eventually you get to betting. Have you ever done an elimination pool with friends?
I
like,
have.
Where you've got a teammate because the cost is too much?
Well, that wasn't why, but yeah, I mean, we did it once on the show that I was on, but I don't have like my, let's say, DraftKings account. Also, like, you're not on it.
Yeah.
But I could sign into Yahoo or CBS Sports and share a team. They have a share a team function, but I don't know
Credit
about
card's not in there.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you're right.
You
I
have to
think.
give these accounts your social security number. You got to give them everything.
Yeah, that's not good. Well, it goes back to our earlier conversation. If baseball's fixed, why can't an NFL official be fixed? By the way, I just signed. But no.
Allegedly.
But no, listen, NBA had Tim Donaghy. There's a lot.
Yeah.
I did think we're in obviously a danger zone. That's a crazy headline.
That's
I did
a
not
crazy
see that.
headline.
I'm surprised that's not making more waves.
I know. I didn't. Maybe we're just like in our New Orleans bubble a little bit. I didn't see it either.
Put the Andrew Wiggins conversations away and read a website, guys.
No, never. We will talk about Andrew Wiggins until we drive off the road.
Is Andrew Wiggins like our anxiety convo now? Like we're all scared to go into the alligator farm. So anytime we have something nervous happening, we'll be like, "Hey, how about Andrew Wiggins? He's still in the NBA." Took a lot to get to that point.
Yeah.
Longtime Florida State men's basketball coach Leonard Hamilton stepping down after this season. He is the program's all-time leader in wins, top 5 in that category in ACC history, but he's also being sued by 6 former players who say he did not make good on NIL promises. On the court last night, number 16 Kansas smothering 8th-ranked Iowa State 69-52, and women's number 10 Duke had its 5-game win streak end with an 89-83 loss at number 14 NC State. Guys, back to you.
By the way,
thanks so much. Yeah.
Bogusch, I saw Jalen Carter on the street yesterday. I told Maggie this. If I'm the right or left guard of Kansas City, I'm calling out sick. I've never seen a man who just walked down the street in a strip mall with more violence. Not in like a bad, like he didn't look like he was violent. Like he is the perfect human. He's like a mountain that moves, and he doesn't have any body fat. His head is low. Like he is a monster.
So I know the story a little bit. So Perloff, you were jogging, right?
I was jogging, yeah.
Right. And I can just imagine that you were jogging and you see a couple Eagles players. It wasn't just Jalen Carter.
Yeah, it was Nolan Smith, and I didn't recognize the third.
And you just all of a sudden you like slow your jogging down to like basically a walk as you're just staring at these guys.
Full disclosure, I was not jogging. I was doing a stretch, a pre-stretch run. So I was wearing short shorts and I had my leg up on a bench.
Huh.
And so Jalen Carter probably looked and said, I can kind of see too much there, Perloff.
Yeah, this is a snapshot that Andrew Bogusch is intimately familiar with.
And then I did some
emphasis on it intimately.
Then I did
PTSD.
some hip thrust towards Nolan Smith.
What's the D for?
I'm not gonna lie. They judged me. They actually no.
Yeah, of course they did.
Yeah. I was, Nolan Smith looked at me like, wow, what a nerd. Which was
Let's go
pretty
stuff
cool.
that guy in a locker.
But no, Jalen Carter looked all business. He looked like he was in game mode Monday shopping. Like I'm telling you, that guy's gonna have a big game based on this 1 second interaction.
Yeah, is he gonna have based on that interaction or his whole career?
Yeah, his skill set.
Yeah. So it's been an eventful couple days here in New Orleans. We'll get more into, again, the alligator farm yesterday. That was a day that I'll remember for the rest of my life, to put it mildly. Bogusch, thank you so much. Coming up, we do have some sound from Charles Barkley that must be played. Charles really going off on what he thinks is at stake for the future of the Lakers. We get to that next. It's M&P.
But they do have some big old women.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie and Perloff, live in New Orleans. Still dealing with a little of the fallout, and we will for a while, of the Luka Doncic trade to the Lakers. Charles Barkley, talking on ESPN, says the Lakers now should pivot after getting Luka, Pearl, and convince LeBron James to accept a trade.
I would have a conversation, LeBron, where could we trade you this year or next year where you have a legit shot to win the championship and we get a good couple pieces or some good draft picks? I think that has to be on the table.
More from Barkley, says the Lakers need to build for the future because they are not a title contender.
The Lakers are not going to win the championship in the next 2 years. It's not going to happen with the Lakers. The Lakers are mediocre at best. They're not a contender because now they got to start stockpiling assets to help Luka going down the road.
Okay, so that's Barkley. Perloff, you agree with it?
Yeah, I mean, and it's actually, I think he's a little harsher. I don't think they're mediocre. I just think the West is so loaded. Like, I think LeBron and Luka are going to be good together. I disagree with Barkley in the sense that they're going to win a lot of regular season games. Just getting out of that West is going to be so hard. I just don't think in the next 2 years they can do it. But I don't agree that they're mediocre. I think they're better than that. I just think they're better teams. The Thunder, I think the Nuggets are going to be tough. I think you have so many good teams in the West. Can you imagine LeBron and Luka finding the right formula to get through it? I think it's just too hard.
I could see, I want to see it. I'm going to be honest. I'm pretty intrigued. I don't know if they can play together. Now, LeBron, to his credit, has played with a lot of different types of stars. So I should be giving him maybe the benefit of the doubt that he has been able to win with multiple different, in different eras, with different teams and different stars. But I just wonder, I think there's something about LeBron where, and rightfully so, I think at the end of the game, he used to want to pass. That was early LeBron. I don't know how much he wants to do that anymore. I really think that he wants the ball in his hands. Let's say it is a play-in game or it's a game 6 or a game 7. I think LeBron wants the ball in his hands. I think he still believes that he's earned that. So, and I think Luka definitely wants the ball in his hands. And I don't know if that's, they'd probably be lucky to get to that situation if we're arguing about who's taking the last shot in a game 7 in a playoff series. It's probably a good place for the Lakers to be. But I think LeBron still wants the ball in his hands at the crucial moments.
I think it's a no-brainer. That's Luka's time. I don't even think it's a discussion. I think LeBron will stand off to the side. LeBron likes to stand off to the side, by the way. He does not need the ball.
That's an old narrative of LeBron.
I remember I went to that Lakers-Knicks game right before last year's Super Bowl. I remember this so much. there were so many sets that they ran where LeBron started talking to Maverick Carter on the sideline while the Lakers had the ball. I'm not kidding.
That's not a playoff game for all.
Right, but I'm just saying that the Lakers had all these. This was a former coach had these sets that were non-LeBron plays because they wanted to get the other guys involved. It's not. There are no non-Luka sets in Dallas. There were none. It was Luka. I just think LeBron will be more comfortable at 40 being complimentary. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Like, of course, it's going to be Luka with the ball in his hand at the end of the game.
I see. I don't think it's a no-brainer. We're not talking about a 40-year-old past his prime. We're watching still one of the greatest, if not the greatest, player of all time. So
he's sort of past his prime-ish. Will you give me that?
Past his prime-ish, but I'm watching him throw down tomahawk dunks at the Garden on Saturday night.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not playing defense in the way that he used to. He's trying to save his body a little bit more and all of that, but I don't see offensively. I think he still believes that he can get to the rim whenever he needs to. Or, sometimes he starts settling for jumpers. I don't think he's going to necessarily want to give that up to Luka.
Well, his minutes are way down this year. He's at 34 minutes a game. I mean, again, I think you're in a little bit of a blind spot thinking LeBron will never age. And I get why you would think that.
I'm just watching the games.
Yeah, but I mean... Yeah, I don't agree. I think at a certain point, he will defer this.
Can I also bring up another point? So everyone's bending over backwards to say that LeBron didn't know about this trade, right? Had no clue about the trade. So do you think he's going to start – if they say that's true, which I think it's BS, but let's say it is true that LeBron didn't know about the trade, never signed off on the trade.
Right.
I'm sure he's happy about it. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, he did. I mean, listen, a lot of people would want to play with Anthony Davis, too.
He
because
did.
Of defense,
He specifically, they made it so messy leaving New Orleans, the city we're in right now, that they tried to get Anthony Davis out of there 2 years before he hit free agency.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, if LeBron didn't sign off on it, I mean, we know he's going to say he'll play nice, but do you really think that did he want to play with Luka? Do we know he wants
he
to
loves
play with
Luka.
Of course they might love each other, Perloff, but loving someone from afar and then being their teammate and having to rely on them in crunch time and vice versa, very different dynamic, different relationship, and that kind of stuff I think takes a minute. Listen,
LeBron has played with J.R. Smith and D'Angelo Russell. This Luka's no problem.
There was no question of who was the alpha between J.R. Smith and LeBron James.
Yeah, D'Angelo Russell thought he was the alpha, actually, in reality.
Well,
but yes.
There was even a question between LeBron and Dwayne Wade their first year in Miami, and Wade had to basically be like, dude, you go. You take it. We're only going to win if you are the one who's the focal point, not me. So, long story short, it takes a minute to figure this stuff out.
Right, but I mean, LeBron's scoring is down. This is his lowest scoring season since his rookie season. I mean, he's definitely, he is pulling back a little bit. I know he has tomahawk dunks, but he's got to save it a bit.
I'm just thinking about the playoffs. I'm fast forwarding.
Yeah, I know, but
the regular
I think
season no longer matters for someone of his caliber.
I don't think he's going to be. Yeah, I mean, I understand he's still awesome, but I don't think he's going to be 40 minutes a dominant game dominant LeBron in this year's playoffs. I think he is going to pick and choose his spots, and it's hard. Playoffs are brutal too. Yeah. There aren't that many off days. So anyway, I also agree with Charles. I don't think it's going to come down to Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals, and they're going to have a choice. I just wonder if they have enough defense. But the trade deadline's Thursday. Maybe they add something. Maybe a big man.
So I wonder, LeBron would have to agree to a trade, right?
Yeah.
Is this something where he's going to want to say, all right, trade me to the Warriors or trade me to, I don't know.
Well, I mean, Barkley said the Warriors are the Spurs. And I got to tell you, everyone's like, ooh, LeBron on the Spurs. Sign up for that. Yeah, if we can make that happen today, I think NBA Nation would say yes.
So the Spurs already traded for De'Aaron Fox. That's a cool pairing with Wemby. We'll see.
That's okay. It's not LeBron.
But are they even – I don't know if people even think the Spurs are a playoff team this year. Aren't they a little wouldn't that be ahead of schedule?
They're at least in the play. Yeah, right now they're a playoff team.
But
they're
not a
does
the timeline match up?
Well, if you add LeBron, maybe. I don't know. Why not? Okay, they're not even a play-in team. Sorry, they're 21-26.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. That is not a title contender, but it'd be awesome. I mean, Barkley's theory was that he would teach Wemby how to play.
Fine, but I think don't you think LeBron, does he still want to win?
They
still
can
want to
win.
rip off another title, or do you think he's just playing for the love of the game?
You have De'Aaron Fox, LeBron James, Wemby. Maybe next year you add one more piece. Is that not good enough to be a contender? Wemby, within the next 2 years?
I mean, 2 years. That would be the other thing. Charles Barkley said the Lakers should try to trade LeBron James this year or next year. It's like, what are you trading for? How many more years do you think he's going to play?
Yeah.
And
wait,
does Bronny have to come?
let me ask you real quick. Do you agree? So you do not agree that LeBron and Luka cannot play together, like Charles said?
I think it's going to be a challenge.
Okay.
I'm not penciling it in for like, oh wow, this is just going to be really seamless. When have they ever played together? It's not. They don't even have like the Olympic team or any other time when they may have gotten familiar with each other's game.
Then why aren't people worried about AD and Kyrie?
They at least played with each other on Team USA.
Oh, come on.
I don't know. It's not nothing. Coming up, Myles, Garrett, and Cooper Kupp both on the trade block. We'll get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
And we're live from New Orleans at Radio Row. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. And, this has been a really crazy couple days because we thought the NBA trades were really going to be the craziest, player movement that we had seen in the NBA. Well, the Luka trade was a shock and a bombshell. We're used to the NBA, stars getting traded. It's not as common in the NFL. A little bit more recently with Russell Wilson and the like. But yesterday, the NFL went crazy, Pearl. Myles Garrett taking to social media and saying that he's asked the Cleveland Browns for a trade. Now, what a gut punch to the fans in Cleveland. We saw how fans were reacting to the Luka Doncic trade in Dallas, like bringing a casket to the arena and basically grieving like this was some kind of major loss and death. And Myles Garrett asking for a trade, I feel like Browns fans have to be gutted because he is the best player on the team.
Right.
He is the number 1 overall pick that they had. He has been a leader, rivaling LT in his numbers, and he's just been such a constant for them in terms of ferocious pass rush. He's the defensive end of this generation, you could argue. He's a defensive player of the year, every year candidate, and has won that award. I mean, you just have to feel like, when is this going to end? Deshaun Watson has been a disaster. You still owe him $170 million. Now your best player wants out. I mean, how do you trust the front office? This whole thing is just terrible if you're the Browns.
I don't think Browns fans feel that. They were 3-14 with Myles Garrett last year.
But you don't want to get rid of talented players, and that's what this is going to come to. Because if he does get traded, now you can start salivating over the return and what he could garner on the open market and all that. But do you really, getting rid of your best players is generally not what you want.
Right, but you're going nowhere with Myles Garrett. So I don't know if they're so probably worried about the quarterback position. Honestly, Myles Garrett is wasted there. I don't know what the point of him even being in Cleveland is. I get his trade requests. Like, their timelines are not matching up anymore because he's probably only got a few more years of total dominance left. And he's like, get me out of here. That being said, by the way, you said it's like the NBA. Like, these are words from these players. They have not been traded. And I don't think, I read how difficult it is going to be to trade Myles Garrett. Cooper Kupp's going to get traded.
Yeah, so Cooper Kupp is the other one.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp said that he was informed by the team, slightly different. Yeah. He was informed by the team that he is going to be traded, and they're trying to work on a solution. We'll get to Cooper Kupp in a second.
Yeah, but Myles Garrett, first of all, it's not going to be easy to trade him. Myles Garrett, is it possible, would you believe that he might be saying this to get more money? Because he does not have any guaranteed money left. So is it possible he's negotiating one of those? I mean, he did put it on like a fancy template. Yeah. So maybe that does imply he really wants out. So there's two things here. One, does the timeline of where Myles Garrett is in the Browns match? No. And two, does he want more money? He wants more money somewhere.
Okay. So first off, I don't believe that the Browns were really going to try to play hardball with Myles Garrett. I think that if he wanted to stay, I think that they would have ponied up the money for him to stay. Because what are the Browns doing here? Is this a full tear-down rebuild while you still owe $170 million to Deshaun Watson?
Yes.
Well, then everyone should be fired because you blew it. Why should this front office get a chance to pick the next quarterback and decide the direction? So all the team that got put together by this front office now gets to say, well, that didn't work. Sorry, we wasted everybody's time with one playoff win. and we'll go. We should let's retool this thing and do more 2-win seasons, 3-win seasons, 1-win seasons, 0-win seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get that.
Well, it's a reality. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, that doesn't change the situation with Myles Garrett. He's a 29-year-old pass rusher who would be a great piece for a winning team, but with no quarterback, the Browns are not going to need him.
No, I see that's weird though, because not going to need him. I mean, here's the thing, right? The Browns have a long history of ruining quarterbacks, ruining them, right? Yes, don't you have to think about it. Of course they do.
No. I disagree with that. They picked the wrong quarterbacks. They didn't ruin Brandon Whedon. He was never ruinable.
Okay.
He just stunk.
Pick the wrong ones or never set them up to succeed. It's a little from column A and a little from column B.
It's a lot from column A, but go ahead.
Okay, well, look at Baker Mayfield. He's doing fine now.
Yeah, but look at Tim Couch. He didn't make it in his second spot. I'm just saying, like, Browns, whatever. Okay.
Browns quarterbacks, right? The mountain to climb to become decent feels like Everest. So now you're going to bring in a quarterback with the second overall pick that they have this year, and whether it's going to be Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders or whatever, and we'll talk about whether even Dion would allow Shedeur to play in Cleveland if they wanted him. You're basically going to have that quarterback come to a team where the cupboard's completely bare.
Yes.
That doesn't
very bare, yeah.
That doesn't help. Look at C.J. Stroud.
Right.
Okay, C.J. Stroud had so much success his rookie season, and that was because he didn't have a terrible team around him. They didn't sell off every single part and piece. Look at Jaden Daniels this year. He didn't have a terrible team around him. Imagine if they said, well, the Commanders, we're going to have a rookie quarterback, so we might as well trade Terry McLaurin, and we might as well trade, might as well not sign any defensive ends. We might as well get rid of Daron Payne, and we might as well Then you're not going to the NFC Championship game. In fact, you're probably in a miserable season where, or you're in a Drake May kind of season where you just feel like there's not much around the team in New England. I don't love this. I don't love, getting rid of Garrett. We'll see if they actually do it, because you said it could be hard to trade him. And then what? Denzel Ward is next, and then you're going to sell off the offensive lineman piece by piece. And, how far does this teardown go? I just never believe you might get back if you tear it down.
Well, I mean, you really think they're going to get to the Super Bowl with Myles Garrett?
Listen,
he
the
turns
Browns
30
and
during
Super
next
Bowl seems a little rich, but
that's got to be the goal, regardless.
Of course, it's got to be the goal, but let's do a little baby steps here. How about a good team that can compete in the AFC North? How about that?
Well, they were in the playoffs 2 years ago, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Lost.
The way you're painting Myles Garrett is like he can put this team on his back and carry them, and he can't.
Listen, they whiffed so hard on the Deshaun Watson thing.
Sunk costs.
It could have been Lawrence Taylor on the other side, and it wouldn't have mattered. But can Myles Garrett be on a halfway decent team? And the sad part is about the Browns is that the fact that this regime has presided let's go since 99. Okay, right. Let's take the Browns. Since 99. The fact that this regime has presided over 2 winning seasons and 2 actual trips to the playoffs and 1 win means that this is the golden age of modern Browns football.
Right.
And so you're talking Super Bowl. Get out of here with that. I don't even think they're judging themselves on getting to a Super Bowl. Get competent. Get to a place where you have a winning record. Do you know since 99 the Browns only have 4 winning seasons?
Yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah,
but I think
Super Bowl. What are we doing?
No, their goal has to be the Super Bowl. Why do you think they signed Deshaun?
Well, and they tried to get the shortcut, and it blew up in their faces.
Right, but the sole goal of that was to be elite. They realized that the only way you can really get to this level is if you have a top 10 quarterback. So that's what they were trying with Deshaun Watson. Hey, it was a Hail Mary. It didn't work out. I just don't think, you look at the 2 trades that people are comparing this potential Myles Garrett trade to are Khalil Mack, and then I saw in the ESPN article.
He's better than Mack.
Mack at his prime?
Yes.
They're very close.
Nah, Myles Garrett's breaking records in multiple seasons with 14 sacks. But I won't get mired in the details. Keep going.
Well, anyway, that trade blew up on the team that took him. And then the other one was Brian Burns, who was went for a high second rounder. He was kind of awesome, and the Giants are the worst team in the league. So I just think that both those trades were not good. So Myles Garrett, if he gets traded, will probably go, I don't know, to the Titans or something, and he'll be just loss.
Well, what about mid-season trade? Von Miller goes to the Rams. How did that work out? If he goes to another team, and that's who should be traded.
That was
for
good,
him
but
anyway.
that was like what was it? That was like a piece in a team that was very, very close. Like Myles Garrett, that team, like a contender. I think they're going to have to give up too much to get Myles Garrett. I think it's going to have to be a medium team. That's why, like, I can't see him going to the Eagles, for example. We're on a lot of lists. Like, how is that going to happen? Are they going to have the draft capital to make that trade right now? I just think that it's going to be somebody like Chicago or Tennessee.
Right.
That's how, because they're going to have draft picks that the team's going to want. So if you're the Browns, you're not going to want to talk to San Francisco and Philadelphia. You're going to want to talk to the teams that are on the lower end. I don't even think you want to talk to Washington at this point. You want somebody with a high draft pick.
Well, you're not trading the number 1 or the number 2 pick for him. That'd be crazy.
No,
Tennessee,
future picks.
Cleveland is picking second, obviously.
Yeah, but you would want future picks. I don't think you're getting anybody in this year's draft because of the timing.
Technically, it looks like from other reports, technically any trade would be designated a post-June 1st for dead cap purposes. I won't bore you with the details. So that means any draft picks that they would be trading to Cleveland aren't actually until the 2026 draft. Not this 2025 draft.
Right.
Myles Garrett is currently 29 years old.
Yeah, he turns 30 in December. I mean, it's probably he's
got
on the back
6
9.
better years, 6 good
6
years left. Definitely.
That's what people say with Khalil Mack. And Khalil Mack, guess how old he is now? He's 33, and he's been washed for 2 years.
I don't know about that. 855-212-4227. So Myles Garrett has requested a trade. Right now, the Browns are saying no way, no how. But obviously, I'm sure they got calls from a lot of teams yesterday, and we'll see if that changes their tune. Let's go to Jeff. He's in Tucson. Jeff, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Maggie, Perloff. I wondered why it wasn't called the Great Andy Show, but I guess that's for another talk. One of the things I wanted to comment on was I'm a lifelong Browns fan and Cavalier fan, too, so I've watched LeBron grow. So let's comment on the whole dynamic of the Lakers got going on.
Okay.
First of all, LeBron isn't going to defer to anybody. So we know that. He's not going to defer to him.
That's what I think.
He may at the beginning just to see if a dude can make a last-second shot and win the game. Maybe. But during the whole game, no. I don't see that being, he may dish out, but he's still the man. We already went through that with the Kyrie Irving. We already went through that with Wade. We know what LeBron is. Secondly, all right, I want to comment on something, God rest his soul. I go back to radio with Joe Tate. Listen to the Cavalier days. That's how far back I go, all right? Secondly, the thing with Garrett is I think this is a money grab. But, Deshaun Watson was a fiasco. We should be firing the guy that owns the team.
Yeah.
Well,
unfortunately,
right
Jimmy Haslam, that's the one person you
I
can't
know.
fire, Jeff.
Right.
Unfortunately. But, here's the thing when you say money grab. See, I think that kind of implies that he wouldn't be worth the money. Like he's got a mask and a gun and he's robbing somebody. People are going to want to pay Myles Garrett. He's not going to have to rip anyone off. They're going to line up to pay him.
No. But he's. I think I agree.
He's trying to get leverage.
Pushing it's leverage.
Yeah, that's fine. But I don't think
What's the
it's
difference?
well, because I think the Cleveland would have paid him. I don't think this is a guy who needs leverage. I think maybe he's doing the opposite of what the Mavericks did. They didn't shop Luka Doncic. They just went to the Lakers and made a trade. That's wrong. That was silly. That could come back to bite them. Now Myles Garrett and by extension Cooper Kupp and Jeff, thanks for the call, dude.
Yeah.
Drive safely. They are doing the opposite. They're saying, hey, I'm available. Everyone call and give your best offer.
Yeah, but I don't think the Browns want to make. I bet you it's a big deal. I don't think they want to give him the contract that he wants. I don't think they want to pony up whatever the highest is. Is it Bosa? 5% more than that over 4 years. That's a big contract. I think they think he's getting older. I don't want to do that.
You're welcome to call in about Myles Garrett at 855-212-4227. Okay, Cooper Kupp also puts out on social media yesterday that he knows that the team is trying to trade him and that they're trying to look for a solution that sort of fits, is kind of good for him and his family, and they're just trying to find a good fit here. What do you think of this one?
First of all, Cooper Kupp is surprisingly old. He's 31 because he came into the league a little later, and he kind of took off that Super Bowl year, which was not that long ago. So he feels like a younger player.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many games he's actually had. I think Cooper Kupp's fantastic. I mean, I think everybody does.
That's funny. This goes against your wide receivers over 30 rule, which you basically say they should be
No, I
kicking
know.
the woodshed.
That's because Cooper Kupp is not really 31. He feels like he's 27 because he just got here. Like I mean, how many games has he actually played? Maybe he hasn't had as much wear and tear.
He's played 104 games. He started 89 of them.
That's
8 years.
He's had some injuries though. Like he
recently.
Didn't he tear his ACL earlier in his career? Like
108 games if there's 17 games a year. So that's the equivalent. Yeah. 8 years. Wow. Anyway, but here's the thing. Cooper Kupp's like a possession receiver right now. Nobody's confusing him with a 1A. I think he's a great fit for a lot of teams. Like as a piece, not like you're not giving a first round pick for Cooper Kupp. You gave a first round pick for Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams.
Sure.
He's not that. But I do think, I think there are a lot of quarterbacks would like that dude.
Well, I to be honest, thought of my own team that I root for in the Buffalo Bills because, they clearly need more help at receiver. That became abundantly clear during the playoff run. And Josh Allen loves that possession receiver guy. You see, like a Khalil Shakir was so important to what the Bills are doing.
They need a burner, too, though.
They need that, too.
Yeah.
So maybe not Cooper Kupp, but I don't know how much he's really expecting. And also, do you want to move from L.A. to Buffalo if you're talking about my family and I don't want to disrupt our lives or what have you? So
Isn't he from Washington State? He's like he's from nowhere near a big city. I think he'd be okay.
Yakima.
Oh, Yakima, Washington?
Yeah.
How
It's
far
a
is that
great
from
name
Seattle?
to say, Yakima.
Is that like a suburb of Seattle? I actually have no idea. I know.
You look at me like I'm Google Maps.
Yeah.
I have no
well, you
idea.
said Yakima very confidently.
You've
like
never heard of Yakima?
I have heard of Yakima. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't either, but I've heard of it.
Maybe I've heard of Yakima. Anyway, he went to Eastern Washington, right?
Yes.
Have you ever? I drove from Idaho to Washington. Eastern Washington is out there. It's like a gigantic desert in the middle of the state. Anyway,
I'm zooming out quite a bit here. I would not consider Yakima a suburb of Seattle.
Well, my point is he's not like a big city guy.
It's
like
on
he's
the
not
other
like,
side of Mount Rainier National Park.
Right. I don't think he needs to stay in L.A. for the brand. Like I don't think he's that kind of guy at all. He strikes me he'd be pretty good in a smaller NFL city. Buffalo's a little cold. I will give you that. I'm looking.
Should I know where Yakima is? Perloff made me feel like is Yakima?
Well, you said when you mentioned it though, you made it sound like you had a lot of information about Yakima.
Really? Applied. He's from Yakima, idiot. I'm like, oh. And then I'm like,
his start at
but just the way you
Yakima
said that, I was like, wait, okay. I don't know. Yeah, when you said he's from Yakima, you should know where Yakima is.
I fully expected to know about the demographics, how the city government works. Like I was expecting a full breakdown.
Well, I ran for county seat, even though I have no idea where it is.
In my head, did I think it's slightly confused with Tacoma? Yes.
So Tacoma really is.
Well, Tacoma, I know. That's why I was like.
Tacoma's actually a suburb of Seattle.
Yeah, it's like, is Yakima like that? The way you said it. Anyway, I think he's a small town guy.
I'll tell you what.
So why not Buffalo?
I mean, maybe, but it's a long way from Yakima. I mean,
it is geographically quite long.
Probably not so much in vibe and mentality. I don't know how much snow they get in Yakima, but probably quite a bit.
Well, here I'm looking at some lists. Other teams, Cowboys, man, could they use that guy?
Cowboys would be another.
Ravens.
And the Cowboys would do it.
The Ravens, again, the Ravens have been looking for a receiver since the beginning of time. I feel like Cooper Kupp is an extra piece on a contender, right? Yeah. Can we at least agree on that? We're talking Bills, we're talking Ravens. I don't know if the Cowboys fit in that because he made a catch this year where it was on the sideline. I don't even know how he made it. He still makes spectacular catches. The problem is Puka Nacua is just better than him because he's younger. So I think he can be a piece, but do not give up like a lot of draft capital. I would not give up a 1 or a 2 in a million years for him.
He's not there right now. But I think
at 31, you can't be there yet.
No, absolutely not. The most famous person from Yakima. And
Cooper Kupp.
I think it actually might be Cooper Kupp at this point.
Wait,
Internet is giving me Yakima Cannett, who is an American rodeo rider, and I'm probably butchering the name, but he has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Wait, what did you say? Who?
A guy who was in Westerns, I think.
I've seen Sam Kinison, the comedian.
All right.
Kyle MacLachlan, the actor.
Is this going to end with us doing a show in Yakima? I think it is.
Well, first we have to find Yakima.
This famous people list is like 5 deep on this website. I just joined it.
How about this? Yakima, one of the world's leading producers of apples. Thank you, Internet.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
You guys never heard of TikTok star J.C. Doria?
Well, Sam Kinison was born in Yakima, and he's a comedy god.
Hilarious comedy.
Yeah.
Just scream all the time.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. All right, Cooper Kupp, Myles Garrett, let's go. 855-212-4227. And are we on in Yakima?
Oh, the writer Raymond Carver, outstanding. There we go. Super Bowl week.
There we are.
Chiefs, Eagles, you'll have to wait. We're going to break down celebrities from Yakima.
I'm sorry, Dan Marino, stand by. We got to get this Yakima talk in. Okay, lots more to do, including you're welcome to weigh in on, 2 players on the trade market allegedly. Myles Garrett from the Browns. And, man, is this just ground zero for the Browns? How many times have people said that? It's just like rock bottom. Your best player is requesting a trade. And Cooper Kupp as well. Okay, it's Maggie and Perloff.
All right, Maggie. I don't know how you did last night, but I was a winner. NBA, Prize Picks, so much fun. And also, we're coming up to the big game, and you can enjoy that with Prize Picks, the best place to cash in on the big game. So simple to use. Pick 2 or more players across any sport. Pick more or less on their projection, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money. Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, available in 40-plus states, including California and Texas. How'd you do last night?
I actually did great. The NBA has been awesome for me. NBA, when I mix with college basketball, has been gangbusters. Hockey as well. But you know what I'm really getting into? It's a little early in the week, but golf on Prize Picks has been dynamite. I told you that Rory McIlroy, very good to me in terms of Pebble Beach. That was awesome. And if you want to get down with this awesome Prize Picks, you can do it, especially for the big game, because Prize Picks is giving away a free pick for the big game where a quarterback will only need to throw for 1 yard for you to win. So what do? You download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code M&P, and you get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. That's code M&P on Prize Picks to get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play just $5. Win or lose, you get the $50 in bonus credits just for playing. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Radio Row is sponsored by Tide Pods. Turn to cold water washing with Tide Pods. When you switch from hot to cold, you could save up to $150 a year on your energy bills. Plus, Tide cleans great and cold. Maggie, I know you love,
I wash everything cold. I discovered this trick back in college, and it's the best because I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't separate lights and darks. I'm just going to say it. I don't do it. I don't have time. I just throw everything in together. But when you do it on cold, then everything's fine. Cold's like the great equalizer of washing lights and darks together in my mind.
Yeah, and people were really curious if you did separate hots and colds.
Do you separate your lights and darks?
No. Question.
Yeah.
We went to an alligator farm yesterday.
We did.
There's a funny smell on all my clothes and all my shoes.
Yeah.
We need Tide Pods in the hotel room. Like, are you going to use laundry service? What are we supposed to do about this funk?
I was actually just going to throw my shoes away.
Yeah.
I thought, because I don't want to wash them off in the sink, and I don't want to wash them off in the shower.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. I feel like I smell pretty bad right now. I noticed people were avoiding me on Radio Row a little bit, kind of walking to the side.
Was that the alligator smell? Or
I think it was actually. In this case, I think it was the alligator smell. Yeah. Bogusch, I am not wearing shorts, although I will be later in the week. It's warm enough here for me to really wear shorts, and I'm excited about that.
It's warm enough here in New Orleans for Perloff to wear short shirts, and at first you're not totally put off by it, but then once you get a closer look, you're like, oh, he shouldn't be wearing those.
Yeah.
Not even in this city where basically everyone's walking around with one eye open, trying to keep themselves steady.
Yeah. One might argue, guys, that there is not a correct temperature for Perloff's shorts.
No.
Yeah, hot and steamy.
Especially really cold. But there is sort of, New Orleans does have that sort of bayou smell. So I feel like I can sort of hide how bad my shoes stink right now. And I am wearing the alligator shoes. I'm not going to lie to you.
You're wearing you are wearing
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Because I chose comfort over not smelling bad.
Thanks for all of us. We will get into the alligator farm. I got our top 5 moments yesterday from the alligator farm, which had way more than just alligators on it, turns out. And now I do smell your shoes, now that you say it. And we've got all this Tide hanging around, and maybe we can combine these two things and help everyone out. Because it smells like alligator dung.
With these shoes?
No, don't do it.
These shoes,
Hello, stop. I'm serious. I do not want to smell like disgusting alligator poop.
This is what you smell?
Stop it. Stop. This is, who knows, it's like alligator poop, snakes, emus. I don't even want to give it all away.
This has to be workplace harassment.
Yeah. What
wow.
happens in a New Orleans alligator farm apparently stays.
I have
in the
allergies
game.
and I can't smell anything, and I can smell that. That is bad.
We got. I'll just say when we got. Well, I don't want to give it too much away because EJ's coming back right now. But there's a certain shed that we went into that even with a warning, we were just like, oh, like it hit, like it opened up the door of the shed. And we're just like, ooh, that's pungent.
Yeah.
That was a pungent shed.
Well,
The heat's not helping.
One thing about this place, they were so by the book as far as safety standards.
Oh, yeah. No, totally.
Yeah. When you walk into an alligator farm and the first fence you see has a gigantic hole in it, you might want to turn around.
Yes. That's just a little.
We used to have 12 gators. We're down to 11 at the moment.
Yeah. And also, we used to have 10 fingers.
Yeah. And then when your guide starts calling his dog and the dog doesn't come, immediately be afraid.
Where's Katie? It's the name of the little dog. All right. We will get to the alligator farm stuff in just a little bit. Bogusch, you have headlines for us. What's up, dude?
Guys, if you don't like the Chiefs as a whole, or specifically Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, bad news for you from Super Bowl opening night. The KC tight end said his playing career not close to being done.
I know I've been setting myself up for other opportunities in my life, and that's always been the goal, knowing that football only lasts for so long. You got to find a way to get into another career, into another, profession. And I've been doing that in my off seasons, but for the most part, I plan on being a Kansas City Chief and playing football.
And the question was, where do you see yourself in 3 years? So this is multiple years of still playing football for Trav. Of course, there were Taylor questions last night. We found out that she makes really good homemade Pop-Tarts.
Wow.
So there's that as well.
I was holding for sound. Drunkle Sam says, "Don't you watch horror movies? Never go in the shed." Yeah, that didn't cross my mind. We walked right into that shed. Again, we'll get more into the alligator farm in just a moment.
Whatever. You just lost me with homemade Pop-Tarts. I want a homemade Pop-Tart from Taylor Swift. I love Pop-Tarts. I didn't know that was a thing. Did you guys know you could make a Pop-Tart at home?
I did.
Yeah. How do you make that incredibly manufactured jelly that's not really jelly? It's so good.
The filling?
Yeah, it's so good. The filling, right. It's so good and artificial and delicious.
Okay, so I think this is to a broader issue about there's some things you just can't improve on, right? Like, so why try? And I think maybe a Pop-Tart could be one of those things. Like, they've perfected it.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it any better. Maybe get healthier, but it's not going to be any better.
But that does sound good, though, a homemade Pop-Tart. I'd like to try this.
Yeah, and I'd argue that a professional baker, not Taylor, but I've had him in it from a bakery. Yeah. That's better than a Pop-Tart out of the box.
I don't know about that, guys, because I think that you're coming in with the Pop-Tart expectation. If it doesn't taste exactly like, I don't even know what brand makes them, I think it's going to fall short. Can I give you a couple others of where I think you just can't improve on it? It's already been improved to as much as it can be. Stovetop stuffing. I don't think you can improve on that. I think the formula is perfect. You can do your homemade stuffing, guys. I'm not saying it's what you
Maggie's
preferred.
having a bad week, guys.
I'm having a great week until Perloff put his alligator poop shoes next to my head.
So there are people who really take pride in homemade stuffing, though.
That's fine, but it's not. If you want that taste like stovetop, you're not going to be able to replicate it. Guys, game, set, match. They already did it.
What's next? Hamburger helper?
I was trying to think of the other one. I think the other one's probably something like Peeps or one of those candies that you just could never replicate.
What was the thing Maggie said yesterday that some fact about her life that she declared? Oh yeah, that everybody's ripping farts on a plane, and we're all like, I don't know what plane you're on, babe.
Oh, by the way, Dave Marinick, our program director, after the show, he said, "I'm so glad you brought attention to this." Because it is our national nightmare. People farting on airplanes with reckless abandon, and just like we're not in a society anymore. Dave Marinick has also been on these party flights.
I will tell you one thing. I do think there's more, because of the internet and social media, there's more shaming of people who take their shoes off. That I feel like I'm seeing more shoes on because people know they'll end up on Instagram if they take their shoes off.
Well, if you walk onto a plane with those alligator poop shoes, you realize you're going to be sitting on the wing.
These are not coming back. These will be thrown out. I'm not going to fly these home.
Yeah, good thing Tide is here with us because maybe we can use some of their products.
Wait, I want to hear some other things that can't be improved upon besides besides stovetop.
Pop-Tarts and stovetop.
Rice Krispie treats.
Yeah, I said marshmallows, like peeps
I
or
didn't
something
hear
like that. Yeah.
But Rice Krispie treat particularly, give me the Kellogg's Rice Krispie treat. I don't want your.
Oh, homemade Rice Krispie
yeah,
treats
those
are better.
always.
No, the kind you get at the elementary school bake sale, those are amazing.
Something's always off with them. There's always
no, I
need that corn syrup, whatever
high
that high fructose. Yeah,
okay, I'll give you one.
Yeah.
I strongly prefer the cranberry gel in a jar compared to homemade cranberry sauce.
Yes.
I
That's
disagree
classic.
with you guys on that one.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's preference. I mean, people,
That is,
it's
again,
like 50-50.
I'm talking about the expectation of the taste. So Taylor Swift is making these homemade Pop-Tarts. They're not going to taste as good as when you get them from the box.
And I think in your defense, if you happen to be taking any kind of recreational substance,
yes,
and you get home if you're high and you get home and there's a box of Pop-Tarts there, it is heaven on earth.
Why are we beating around the bush?
Yeah. In the year 2025, let's face it, that box of Pop-Tarts, that's perfection, right?
Do you guys heat them up?
I don't eat Pop-Tarts anymore, but
I don't have to, but they're better if you do.
I used to not. At home when I was a teenager,
yeah.
I go with the chocolate on chocolate, which I know is not the most popular. Yeah, with milk though, so good.
But that chocolate tastes so fake.
Yeah, I love that fake taste.
Really? Did you used to eat chocolatey cereals?
Oh my God, 100%. Yes.
Like Count Chocula?
Count Chocula.
So phony tasting.
What's the one that was like basically Rice Krispies but chocolate?
Yeah,
Cocoa
Krispies.
Krispies. That was probably the high peak of society.
That's the best one. That's the
Talking
best
about the
one.
low peak is people farting on airplanes. I think our apex was probably Cocoa Krispies.
Well, the person who created that restaurant where they took the milk from the sugar cereal and made ice cream out of it.
Yep.
What's it called? Milk is a
Milk
restaurant?
bar. Milk.
Milk
yeah.
bar? Oh my God, heaven on earth. I try to eat a little healthier now, but the day I get the inoperable brain tumor, I'm having a gigantic bowl of Cocoa Krispies.
Please,
It's good to have
knock
goals.
on all wood we have here.
And Krispy Kreme. Don't you guys ever say, like, wow, if I could eat one thing all day today, because the world was going to end tomorrow, what would you eat? Is this a dark topic? Because for me, it'd be
it's a little
donuts.
like death row, like your last meal type of thing. Do we all have to die so you can eat some mint chocolate chip ice cream? Maybe you could just eat it. Why does the world have to end? Maybe just
I have to be honest. Like, I can't eat. Because I kind of have an addictive personality. Like I can't eat one donut because I will want to eat the whole box of donuts. Do you guys relate to that?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. The one thing that's funny about Perloff, so Perloff, just a little behind the curtain. Perloff, you are totally anti-sweets. You are very disciplined. You do not eat a lot of sugar and stuff like that. But it's not like you're eating healthy all the time.
Well,
you
explain.
try. Well, we went out to dinner last night.
And what did I eat that wasn't healthy? Oh, the grits.
whole meal.
Everything.
Now, granted, might be
The
the
napkin?
city. You did have a water. I guess that was healthy.
Oh yeah, you mean grits that are made of butter, cream, more butter, cream, some grits.
Yeah. What do you think was in that soup you had?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Anyway, we're also in a city that is not known for healthy cuisine. So
you
we're
turned
leaning in.
you turned down the bacon greens that were being given to us.
I'll tell you the one thing that I made a bargain. I'm going to avoid sugar because I find it too addictive.
Just to eat lard.
To eat fatty foods. Because there was this health trend that avoid fat for years when I was growing up. It's like, don't eat fat, but eat all the sugar you want. And then that turned out to be a terrible diet strategy. Fat is good.
Right.
So I really am embracing that idea this
certain
week.
types of fats.
Certain types of fat, but fat fills you up and makes you want to eat less calories. So I think you agree with me that notion that fat was bad was overrated for years and years and years.
Yeah, and I'm just waiting for the next health trend to be flip-flopped. Like, it's like coffee's good for you. Coffee's poison. Red wine, have a glass of that. It's good for your heart. Actually, it's giving you cancer.
As the study sponsored by Ernest and Julio Gallo. You
were talking yesterday about how the Grammys are run by Big Record. I always think about this when health trends. Perloff was shocked that the big artists get the most airplay. But like when all of a sudden it's like almonds and kale. Like I think they have big campaigns behind them.
I mean, listen, this is a big topic now because we got RFK in Congress talking about these things, which are real topics.
Yep.
kind of gone off. That whole thing's gone off the rails a little bit. But generally, like something in the American food is like right. I grew up with that triangle where like bread was like white bread was at the top of the pyramid.
No, the bottom. You're supposed to eat the most.
Yeah, or whatever. The good side of the pyramid was like eat a lot of white bread and
a lot of Rice Krispie treats
and avoid eggs. And now it's like the opposite. Now it's like eat as many eggs as you can and avoid white bread.
Let's bring it full circle. I was on an all Pop-Tart diet for most of the 90s.
Yeah,
Turns out that was wrong. Bogusch, what else? You got time for one more?
Our other gambling scandal this morning, the same betting ring connected to the NBA and Jante Porter and Terry Rozier. That ring apparently also bet on college basketball games. 3 programs involved: Eastern Michigan, Mississippi Valley State, and North Carolina A&T, who recently suspended 3 players, the AD saying they broke, quote, well-established team rules. Guys, back to you.
Man, these guys are going to get in so much trouble for this, too. And it's like, you thought the NIL was going to make it so you wouldn't be tempted, but at what'd you say, Mississippi Valley?
Eastern Michigan, Mississippi Valley State, and North Carolina A&T. These are the games that the bettors bet on. We don't know exactly what was involved in that, but these 3 programs have been highlighted for betting patterns around their games.
Right. So these are not NIL powerhouses is what I'm saying.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, NIL, if guys even get a little bit of cash, then you're going to want to spend that cash on the apps. So I don't think NIL is going to stop it. That explains I lost a terrible Campbell, North Carolina A&T bet 3 weeks ago. I'm going to look into that one.
Be part of a class action lawsuit.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
You knew something was funny about fishy. That under free throws.
I didn't understand the rotations at the end of the Elon game.
Look at you naming CAA teams.
I pulled up the schedule.
Literally pulled up their schedule.
William and Mary was coming up next.
Oh, these are your schools, Bogusch. Monmouth's on here.
Yeah, your boys at
Stony
Drexel
Brook
in that league?
Yeah, Drexel. So you actually cover some of these teams for Fordham, right?
I have seen many of those teams, not the southern ones. Those are a new addition, but that northern half of the CAA, that's my hotbed.
What is Stony Brook's nickname, Andrew Bogusch?
The non-existent Seawolves.
I'm actually surprised there wasn't a sea wolf at this alligator farm we went to yesterday. It was all that was missing. It's like, careful, step over the sea wolf. I would have been like, yep, that squares.
Yeah. I'm not sure they're non-existent anymore. There was some strange hybrids going on.
Some major crossbreeding happening at the alligator farm.
Pretty sure we saw a snake that had feet.
It did.
I'm still trying to figure out that one.
Let's be real. The guy handed Maggie was clearly a lizard, and Maggie goes, "Is that a snake?"
Hey.
I'm like, it's walking on all fours, Mag. This was not her. I gotta be honest. This was not your comfort zone.
Guys, turns out not cut out for life on the bayou. Maybe could have guessed that. And by the way, I don't think these animals were cut out for life on the bayou. None of them were really, besides the gators, were really native to the area.
Hey, Pearl, is that a snake? No, it's a dog, man. It just barked at you.
It had a blue tongue. And it was forked. I don't know, guys. There was some odd stuff going on.
That's
anyway.
a border collie.
You also did hours of work to make this happen, and it was your living hell?
Beyond. Wait till you hear the story. We showed up, and those hours of work were not what we expected.
No.
This is not what we were sold.
No, but they were great. Hospitable, no doubt. It had nothing to do with them. They were awesome. It was us. It was an us problem. It was a me problem. We'll get to that.
Yeah, that's true. But also, they were hospitable, but this was not exactly the robust farm that we expect. It was not the San Diego Zoo.
Yes, best way to put it.
Fair. But you know what? At the San Diego Zoo, you can't touch the animals. So, all right, top 5 moments. We'll do that coming up next. Top 5 moments from the alligator farm. Don't move. It's M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD, veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. I got it this week. Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. I got Defensive Player of the Week. I'm sure of it.
Okay,
Maggie,
well, go ahead. I mean,
Well,
EJ picks it. We guess.
Yeah.
It's got to be you're going to the Wemby hole because Wemby blocked every Milwaukee Bucks player's shot the other day. I saw one. He came in from halfway across the court to stuff. I think he stuffed Giannis a couple times. It's definitely Wemby.
Okay.
Wait,
Maggie.
the Wemby hole? That sounded really weird, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was.
Hey, yo.
But I mean, you could go Wemby a lot this year. So my point is, I think this is the week because there was no football that he's going to Wemby.
I think that EJ went with Jalen Williams from the Oklahoma City Thunder with 3 blocks against the Bucks, but nobody from the Bucks was really playing. But still,
Basjama.
Guys, there's no way you're going to get this one, but that's fine. I'm a little disappointed in Pearl because you've been on the college basketball kick. But my player of the week this week is Flory Bidunga of Kansas, who in just 15 minutes had 4 blocks in their win over Iowa State, who's now ranked number 8th in the country. Kansas, a little bit of an up-and-down season so far. This is a big home game. 4 blocks.
Get outside the city, though, not just like the touristy places that are lovely, but that we are kind of, our hotel's kind of near them. So what we decided to do was we went to an alligator farm. And I'd like to say quickly at the top of this, a huge, huge thank you to Kleber and Sons Gator Farms and Gator Tours. And I would highly, highly recommend, despite everything we're about to say, we're having a little fun, I would highly recommend if you want to get some up close, emphasis on up close and personal with some crazy wildlife, Kleber and Sons was a fantastic day, was it not?
Yeah.
It was affordable. It was $18 a ticket. They were knowledgeable, and we did feel safe at all times. Okay, so let's just get that out of there. They did a great job, and we would recommend them to anyone. With that said, are you ready for my top 5 moments from yesterday's trip to the alligator tour?
Let's hear 'em.
Okay. Number 5, the fact that we took an Uber an hour outside of New Orleans to a place called Ponchatoula, and our Uber driver, Robel, was so interested in what we were doing. Not only did he offer to stay to drive us back to New Orleans, he asked if he could come on the tour with us, and we said yes. Yeah. So we paid for Robel's ticket. He was great. Took a couple photos for us, too, so he kind of came in handy. He said that he'd been living in New Orleans for 42 years. He had never seen anything like this before in his life. Number 4 on the list, the reptile shed. This is going to go down as one of those smells that you'll never forget in your life, like sense of smell. When I tell you there were some dwarf alligators in the reptile shed, there were 2 albino pythons in the reptile shed, there was a bearded dragon in the reptile shed, there was something that we thought was a snake but actually had 4 legs.
And a blue tongue.
And a blue tongue. Maybe I thought it was a snake. I don't remember what that was called. Blue tongue lizard, maybe?
Sounds right.
The smell in the shed, that was a smell.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe it.
I thought that's, you're right. If we were going to die somewhere, that probably would have been an appropriate place.
that was where it was going to happen.
Nice.
Number 3 on the list is the things memorable moments from the alligator farm yesterday. Learning the difference between a crocodile and an alligator. So I'll tell our audience, a crocodile has a pointed snout and an alligator has a rounded snout. Also, it turns out a crocodile will kill you and eat you, and an alligator, you might have a fighting chance. So crocodile, you're screwed. Alligator, you may get away in terms of ferociousness of the animal.
Wow, I did not hear that part of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a big one. I was taking notes on that one. Number 2, we got to hold an alligator, a 5.5-foot alligator. Her name was Minnie. She was not Minnie. And you actually really held her.
Yeah, she was so calm. I could have her as a pet. She's like Lyle Crocodile. She was so nice.
And the number 1 moment from the alligator farm yesterday was our tour guide, Mr. Richard, who was fantastic. 5 stars.
I'll give him 4. He was great.
I'll give him
5 stars.
5 stars for Mr. Richard. He opened up the place for us on a Monday when they were closed. Mr. Richard only had 6 fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was...
5 fingers on one hand and a thumb.
My only thing I think you're missing is his obsession with naming every animal, and then Maggie trying to name the animals and him not understanding her jokes at all was high comedy. The communication between Maggie and Richard, I wish I would have recorded the whole thing.
Every animal who didn't have a name, I would suggest an LSU football player.
And he would just look at her like she was crazy.
Nope, he did not want the
Jamar
snake
is
to be
not
named.
a name for an emu.
He did not want the macaw named Joe Burrow.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Super Bowl's days away. We're in New Orleans on Radio Row, and all anyone can talk about is whether or not the Chiefs are going to get a beneficial call in this Super Bowl that could help them complete the three-peat. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, Commissioner Roger Goodell, answering tons of questions yesterday, Pearl, and a few of them about this perception, and there is some data behind it, that the Chiefs have gotten some home cooking, as we say.
There's going to be such scrutiny on the officials in this game because everyone expects a close game. It's a 1.5 point spread. I just can see this coming down to the end, and you have certain calls that are inevitable. You're going to have a lot of passing in the fourth quarter. That means that either going to hit the quarterback or there's going to be potential pass interference, especially in New Orleans. The thing with pass interference,
don't bring it up.
You can screw that up pretty good. I just think that it's Roger Goodell's laughing it off, but let's face it, it's not even like conspiracy theory. Officiating is going to be a big part of this game if it's really close, which we all expect.
And officiating was a big part of this game 2 years ago in Super Bowl 57, which kind of, for all intents and purposes, came down to a James Bradbury of the Eagles at the time holding call, but James Bradbury kind of helped, if you will, any theories and any controversy because he said, yes, I did hold.
And also, we physically saw the jersey stretch.
Yes, kind of like getting
that
pulled.
was a question about degree of pass interference, which is really hard to tell. Like, did it pass the supposed threshold of illegal contact?
Well, and also time and place. See, this is the thing, right? And when I've said this before, so I'm guilty of it as well, to say you can't make that call in that moment. See, then that's not the officials. That's us. That's us saying that there's this sort of unwritten rule book about when you're supposed to call these plays and when you're supposed to let the contact happen. And, you're official, you're sunk if you're trying to go by everybody's definition of when and where you should be calling. That one wasn't ticky-tack, but some of the more ticky-tack fouls.
Well, right. You're not going to call pass interference on a Hail Mary even if there's contact. So there's always a when and where. I think that it's a judgment call. So that's why the NFL is in such a tricky spot here. This is all judgment. What's roughing the passer? Does it hit to the top of the shoulder pads? Is that roughing the passer? It's a very hard job.
What's roughing the passer? What's a catch? What's offensive pass interference, defensive pass interference? I've seen, we can all point to 100 different times when it got called one way or another.
And let's not even talk about the fourth down call in the Buffalo game.
Yep.
Why isn't there an electronic chip in the ball? That's all legitimate, and the NFL says they're going to look into doing that. I mean, look, the tush push.
Yeah.
There was a 2-point conversion attempt where the Eagles got a penalty moving out the 1 yard. There was a tush push. How on earth did the officials see that Jalen Hurts was short of the line with the ball? That's a blind guess.
Totally.
This is a $20 billion industry who's making a blind guess whether this is over the goal line because the pile is too confusing. And then when do they blow the whistle? What is stop progress? It's an impossible job. I will admit that.
Well, so is it though? Because here's the thing. Goodell was asked about this yesterday about whether the technology of putting a chip in the ball or something like that could happen. He said, yeah, we look into it. Other leagues do it. We take their data. He said, but the thing is, it's like an odd-shaped ball. So, where do you put the chip and all that? But, for EJ, you're a big soccer fan, for VAR, right, which is at the goal line, couldn't you have just VAR, which is basically a laser that goes in the goal line? So it's not actually the chip in the ball, although maybe we could talk about that, and that might help. But especially at the goal line.
Right. But how do you know, how does it measure if the guy's knee is down?
Right. That's the trick.
Do you put a laser in the guy's knee and you have some sort of Matrix-like electronic system? Eventually, they probably will.
That's how the microchips will begin.
Yeah.
NFL players, and it will go to all of us.
It just reminded me of Austin Powers, the sharks with the laser beams coming out of their heads.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Close.
Because the knee and the elbow, and also is one butt cheek equal down or two butt cheeks? We're getting.
Well, we all know it's one butt cheek.
Yeah,
that the rule book is clear as day.
What is it? The side of the butt cheek? How much butt cheek are we talking? Anyway, it's very hard to tell. And the tush push.
Also, does it give favor to people with big butts?
Well,
they don't have a good enough life.
The other thing too is I think people are working the officials. I don't know who's starting this. The game is fixed, and the officials help the Chiefs. The Eagles have every reason to flare up this storyline because officials are imperfect. If they are about to make a big call pro Chiefs in the fourth quarter, you don't think they've heard all this noise? You don't think they know Roger Goodell is getting questions in the press conference? I wonder if they're going to hesitate to throw that flag because they want to avoid looking biased toward the Chiefs.
Okay, but if you throw an egregious flag that helps the Eagles, it's the same. You're answering the same question. Now you're biased against the Chiefs. Let's hear a little of Roger Goodell says these Chiefs conspiracy theories are ridiculous.
I think the men and women that officiate in the NFL are outstanding. They have the highest possible standards. That's ridiculous theory for anyone who might take it seriously. But at the end of the day, it's something we always have to continue to work on. How do we make our officiating better at all times?
I would say simplify the rule book, but that's just me. More from Roger Goodell says the Chiefs' conspiracies remind him of a ad campaign that they leaned into about the script.
Sort of reminds me a little bit of the script, right? That I write a script, and I have the script for the entire season. Listen, I think from a lot of those theories are things that happen in social media, and they get a new life.
Okay, can we talk about, we're actually talking about two separate things here that I'm not sure if Roger Goodell, maybe because the way he was asked the question, I don't think you are going to find a lot of people who believe that Roger Goodell sits down in a conference room before the season and says, all right, here's where we have to get to. We got to get to Chiefs-Eagles, and let's work backwards on how we're going to get there. Like, this thing is all preordained.
Do you think they meet at a diner and do it? Like, what do you mean a conference room?
All right, that's one thing. You actually think that the season is one big sham. We're living in a simulation, and they already know the outcome.
Facts.
That's no,
I'm kidding.
That's
I'm kidding.
one part. Okay, that's ridiculous. That's patently ridiculous. Okay, but then there's another aspect of this, which is just, do the Chiefs seem to get more calls that go their way? And to that, we actually have something called facts and data. And if you want to talk about the whole season, well, let's throw that out, because let's talk about just playoff games. And let's talk about playoff games during this run that they're on. So this was a graphic that was put on ESPN.
Yeah.
And it is about Chiefs playoff penalties since 2021. Playoff penalties since 2021. The Chiefs have gotten flagged for 36. Opponents have gotten flagged for 66. So that means almost 200 more penalty yards for the opponent as the Chiefs. They've been the more penalized team 0 times, and they've had more penalty yards 1 time than their opponent. So that's data.
Well, yeah, except
and
that,
I think a lot of it is probably just home field advantage. But again, it is data.
Well, also, too, it's the Chiefs are the better team in almost all these games. So the better team always gets.
Okay.
The inferior team is going to hold more. The inferior team is going to interfere more. I mean, I think dealing with Patrick Mahomes, like, yeah, you're more likely to create a penalty.
See, but here's where I'm not going to say it doesn't add up, but here's where you get the incongruency there, is they actually have players that are some of the most penalized players in the league, including their left tackle, during the regular season.
Right, but the Chiefs mail in the regular season. They're not even running their full playbook.
Okay, so that's your explanation. I'm just saying that if you look at the regular season, they do have guys who get penalized all the time. And yet in the playoffs, all of a sudden, now the opponent's getting penalized all the time. Do you not understand? Like, this is what leads to Roger Goodell getting questions like this.
I hear you, but I would counter. Like, I have a good friend who's a Chiefs fan, and he said, we've never seen that play about something they ran against Buffalo. Like, you have to understand, the Chiefs put a lot of pressure, especially in playoff football, on the opponent. So there is some reality there, too. Like, they're the better team 90% of these playoff games. So, of course, they're going to get more calls. Now, during the regular season, I think they're experimenting, too. Like, and we know famously, because they're like, what happens if we move our 2 tackles back 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage? They're going to test the zone. We're going to test the zone. I actually think they're playing with the rules. I know that sounds crazy, but I do think, like, well, let's see what we can get away with, and then we're going to really bring it all together in the playoffs, where officials have a totally different vibe. Like, officials call less flags in the playoffs, right? Isn't that the rule?
Well, I'm not sure, but I think the other part that doesn't help the NFL is they do this thing where, and we're talking about the idea that the Chiefs get more calls, and Roger Goodell was answering questions about it yesterday, because I think there are a significant amount of football fans that sort of feel like the Chiefs get a little boost from the officials, either bias or unconscious bias, because they also get so many home games that they've earned. But the idea that they're running some of these, like, working out the kinks on some of these, like, trick plays or pushing the envelope or what have you. I think they are doing that. And I also think that's what leads to the boogeyman aspect of the Chiefs. EJ, you wanted to say something about this.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the penalty facts are facts, but I do think not all penalties are equal.
That's true.
Because during that 8-game winning streak the Chiefs currently have during the playoffs, I think now it's 9, I guess, when Adam Schefter posted this. Roughing the passers, opponents 6, Chiefs 0.
Right.
Unnecessary roughness, opponents 4, Chiefs 1. And it seems like we've seen those calls where when it involves Patrick Mahomes, involves a bang physical play. I feel like I saw one rough. I can't even remember a time where the Chiefs got called for a roughing or an intentional, a roughing pass or intentional roughness. It seems like those plays, which seem to be back-breaking plays, 15-yard automatic first down penalties, those by the stats are going to the Chiefs. Now, is a holding, is an offside? Those are, in some ways, those aren't judgment calls. It's either you were offside or you weren't offside. You false start or you don't false start. These are more judgment calls, and those seem to be going to the Chiefs.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe the Chiefs are just more poised in these moments where the younger players who haven't been there before are not.
Maybe, but these are, 6 roughing the passers to 0 in an 8-game stretch. That's a bit, and the Chiefs hit the quarterback. This is not a team that we're going to, Steve Spagnuolo, they're not we're going to hold back, we're not going to bring pressure. Like, they come after quarterbacks, and that number is striking to me.
It definitely is, and those are the 15-yarders for sure. And I think it's a little bit, though, the way that Mahomes plays, like the way that he plays and the way that he can sort of, bait guys and bait defenders into hitting him at these bad angles and by the sidelines and stuff like that. It's a strategy. Josh Allen uses it too. Lamar Jackson probably should use it more. I mean, it's definitely a strategy. And Roger Goodell also was asked about face masks. It looks like they are, he didn't say outright, but they are definitely looking at replay on some of those face mask calls to try to get them under wraps because those are backbreakers too, because those are 15 yards.
Yeah, and the thing about face masks is we can all see the face mask when the official might be blocked from it, so it's a very glaring one. See, I'm just curious, and I'm trying to remember. I do remember Josh Allen complaining about something in the Chiefs game. Were there any potential roughings on him? I don't recall being complaining about that one. So
Josh Allen definitely called out a hold before he passed the ball, which was like galaxy brain crazy.
Yeah, which he got. So
he got that one.
But I don't think they for some reason Josh Allen didn't invite any roughings in that game, as I recall. He got sacked twice, but
I feel like C.J. Stroud was getting mauled. I mean,
he got sacked 8 times.
Yeah, I mean they never roughed him.
Yeah.
Let's go to the phones, 855-212-4227. Good luck out there, CJ.
I hope he's okay.
You're
still.
A roadblock on the way to the Chiefs three-peat. Let's go to our pal Phil, who's in Pennsylvania. Phil, you feeling nervous yet?
I'm starting to get there. It's just the closer you get there, you just kind of get excited, but also a little bit nervous, just afraid that Mahomes is going to do Mahomes things.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's gonna. I don't know if it means they're going to win, but he's going to do Mahomes things.
Well, that's true. I've just seen a lot of, even though you may not play them, they still somehow find a way to win. Anyway, the reason I'm calling is I think the Eagles should go all in on Myles Garrett. They definitely need an edge rusher.
Yep.
They definitely need an edge rusher. Brandon Graham's probably going to retire, and I think they lose another one.
They lose Josh Sweat's going away, too.
Yep. Give them 2 first-round picks. Eagles' first-round picks are at the end, so they're going to draft one anyway, so might as well get a bona fide, in his prime, defensive player of the year, almost every single year, at least a nominee.
Yep.
And seriously, if the Eagles add him, they would have a defensive line that would rival Reggie White and Jerome Brown. It'd be violent.
Yeah.
Phil, thank you for the phone call. What do you think? 2 first-round picks for Myles Garrett. And you got to pay him.
I would do it in 2 seconds. But one thing, Howie Roseman, the GM of the Eagles, is on fire drafting. He got Quinyon Mitchell in the 20s, who looks like a perennial all-pro cornerback. And he got Nolan Smith at 30, who I didn't like at first, but now is leading the NFL in postseason sacks. So I don't want to take draft picks away from Howie. That makes me nervous.
Go Birds! You should want him. 31 other teams basically should want him. And the Eagles might fit if he wants to go to a contender. But I think this is ultimately – so yesterday Myles Garrett put on social media that he's asking for a trade. Browns have said we're not going to trade him. This is just such rock bottom. There's no end in rock bottom for the Browns franchise. Now your best player is asking for a trade because your Deshaun Watson bet blew up so spectacularly, and now you got to start over, we all presume, with a rookie quarterback at 2, and I get why Myles Garrett probably doesn't want to stick around for that.
Yeah, listen, he was pretty good this year. I don't think he was at his peak, but they were 3-14. So, I do think at a certain point he's doing the math, and they might do the math, be like, this guy is fantastic, Hall of Famer, surefire, but we need a quarterback. I think that's such an overwhelming problem in Cleveland that this might not even be their front burner topic because they have the high draft pick. I think they need a quarterback. Like, you can't even have this conversation about Myles Garrett because if you don't have anybody playing that position, you're not going to win anything in the NFL.
No, we know that. But think about it. In a season that was just lost by the Cleveland Browns, right? 3 wins. He still had 14 sacks. He led the league in tackles for loss. And this is probably with your opponent basically running the ball for most of, I don't want to say most of second halves, but for a lot of it. 855-212-4227. I mean, the Jameis Winston experience is always amazing for people who have no skin in the game. I can't imagine what it's like watching him if you are a fan of the team because...
Jameis is awesome, though.
But, you never know where the ball's going.
Well, listen, this
not
is
like in a Will Levis kind of way.
Breaking news that the Browns are in trouble as a franchise. They made this all-time investment in Deshaun Watson, and it did not work out. So, of course, you can't cut it any other way. You can't invest $200-something million in Deshaun Watson and then come out of that unscathed. I mean, you make that risk, you're going to have a downside if it doesn't work out, and it did not work out.
Yeah, and the only weird thing about that is mostly everyone saw that coming. Not that he would get hurt in the way he did.
Nobody saw that coming. Come on.
I think if you had pulled up a poll at that point, do you think the Browns are more likely going to regret this contract or win a Super Bowl with Deshaun Watson? What do you think the breakdown would have been? We may have done that poll, by the way.
I remember most of NFL Nation being excited for the Browns. Deshaun Watson was a great quarterback.
That's true. Once upon a time. 855-212-4227. Then a lot got in the way. We have a poll up here for you at Maggie and Pearl on X. Do you think the Chiefs benefit from an officiating bias? 73% say yes. That's a problem for the NFL. That is a problem. And on top of it, the fact that nobody really wanted to see the Chiefs again.
I don't know how big a problem because controversy sells. It makes it basically baseball had all these controversies and that sold and got a lot of ratings. I don't think it's a massive problem. The gambling makes it a little tricky, but people are going to tune in for this. It adds to the drama. I mean, NFL, do they really have any problems? Do you see any problems around?
No, it looks pretty robust, actually. What did they get for the AFC Championship game? 58 million people tuned in?
Yeah, people are like, I hate the NFL. It's totally fixed. What time's the game on?
855-212-4227. Let us know if you think the Chiefs do benefit from a bias, and what do you think it is? I think it's just simple home field. They're getting home calls. Maybe there's more theories out there. We've had a few this morning that I think have made some sense. We'll get into those in just a moment. Again, we're live from Radio Row in New Orleans. It's the Maggie and Perloff Show, and we're back in just moments.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff here on Radio Row in New Orleans. Let's talk to one of our absolute favorites. It's Mike Jones, covers the NFL for The Athletic. And love your last article, Mike, because you really just laid out the biggest storylines heading into this game. To me, though, I think three-peat is like top of the list and everything else is a close second. Right. It was not top of your list, though. How do you think the three-peat is factoring into this game?
Well, I mean, I think it's huge. And look, for me, yes, I am all about seeing things that we've never seen before. And so I think it would be huge. I just know that there's a little bit of fatigue from the national fan base, which is still odd to me. Like, why? Like, even I talk to my kids about this, and they're like, "Oh my God, anybody!" But I'm like, "You're never going to see this again. Like, so why not see this?" So that's the only reason why I didn't put it first. But I think it will be huge because the thing is, it's so hard to bet against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Steve Spagnuolo. They always seem to find a way, and it's going to be challenging, for the Eagles, because again, you never know what Spags is going to pull out. Andy Reid and Mahomes are always on the same page, and if you get the ball in his hands with 2 minutes left, I think I saw a stat that he's something like 7-0 when needing a game-winning drive, in the postseason. I mean, so
feels like 70-0.
Yeah, so you can't bet against them, and so if they win this thing, they automatically. I mean, again, nobody has done this in the modern history of the NFL, and the Patriots were close and fell short. So it would be pretty epic if they can pull this off.
Can you remember a team that was this disliked in the Super Bowl? And I'm just going to say the word disliked. I was thinking the 90s Cowboys. I don't remember everybody disliking them like this, and I'm an Eagles fan. We certainly didn't like them. Were the Patriots, did they ever reach – do you ever have so many people sort of tired of one team like this?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. People didn't like the Patriots, but there was reason to dislike them.
Yeah.
There was the sign stealing, whole,
Spygate.
controversy,
Yeah.
Spygate. There was Deflategate. You had Belichick, who was kind of gruff and unlikable, and Brady, who was a robot and too perfect. Andy Reid's a grandpa wearing Hawaiian shirts. And Patrick Mahomes is down to earth and fun. And Travis Kelce, I mean, yeah, he's got a famous girlfriend, but there's nothing really to dislike about this team that's off-putting, except for the fact that they're good. And so it's crazy to me. But again, the Patriots were disliked, but for good reason.
Yeah.
Mike Jones joining us from The Athletic. Got a cool new feature that's going to be happening with The Athletic. It's Connections with sports. Very happy about this because I love playing Connections. I play it every day, and my husband was very impressed that my score was above 70%. But enough about me. You mentioned watching something we've never done with the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
If they can pull off this three-peat, do you put them ahead of the Patriots in terms of greatest dynasties? Do you put them ahead against the 70s Steelers and, 80s 49ers and 90s Cowboys?
I want to say yes, but still it's hard to say yes because you don't know, are they going to fall off right after this? To dominate for 20 years, to win 6 Super Bowls over that span is the gold standard. Yes, winning 4 in the last, 5 years or something like that, 4 in the last 6 years, and 3 in a row would be unprecedented. But, again, until they show that longevity, I think that would be what it would take to make them the greatest. Now, one of the greatest, and maybe right behind the Patriots, because they did it in such a short amount of time, yes. But Patrick Mahomes isn't 30 yet. So we could see this go on and on and on for a while. I think they have a chance. If they do it here, they have a chance to surpass the Patriots for sure.
What do you think of this actual version of the Chiefs? Are they as talented as the other teams in the three-peat or even in the 4 Super Bowl era?
I think so. Now, offensively, we haven't seen that explosiveness that this past year, but they dealt with a lot of injuries with their wide receivers. But what's impressive about them is they went from being this high-octane offense to really reinventing themselves.
Mike Jones joining us from The Athletic just for a few more minutes. Okay, another question just off of this game, but NFL, the whole thing. What do you think of what Tom Brady is doing in Vegas? Pete Carroll gets hired as the head coach. Chip Kelly, now the offensive coordinator. Still don't have a quarterback.
Right.
Do you think this is a recipe for success?
I think that they are really investing in trying to make sure they have after going cheap and kind of skimping here and there, they're like, no, we really need to invest in this thing. I know they wanted Liam Cohen. First they wanted Ben Johnson.
Right.
That didn't make sense to me because they didn't have a quarterback, so why was that going to be attractive to him? Then they wanted Liam Cohen, and that didn't work out. I think Pete Carroll is the best thing for them because this is a team, a franchise that's been in bad shape, and now you have a veteran head coach who's got a Super Bowl ring, who knows what it's supposed to look like, and he's going to come in and turn this thing around. You've got quality assistants. Again, like you said, they need a quarterback. But I think that Tom Brady is really putting the pressure on Davis. Stop doing this on the cheap. Let's do this the right way, and we're going to see those investments. Again, it's going to take a while. Can they find a quarterback? Because there's not a great free agent option. Doesn't look like. I don't know if they're going to be able to get a difference maker franchise guy in this year's draft. We will see. But they're starting to put that foundation in place there. And so I think things will start to turn around. Again, they're in a tough division too.
Yeah.
But they're building this thing like an NFL organization should be built.
All right, if we're doing non-Super Bowl topics, we have to ask you the question of last week. Cam Newton said that he would be happy winning an MVP without a Super Bowl. I don't know if you heard
he
this
wouldn't
one.
Trade in his
he
MVP
would trade
for a
in,
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I know you probably have covered Cam. What do you make of that quote?
I mean, that's what he's saying now. I mean, obviously, as he's looking back, he's come to grips with the fact that he wasn't able to win a Super Bowl. But he's like, well, that doesn't define me, though, because I still had a quality career. I still did a lot of things that nobody else had done, so I'm going to be happy with that. I am not going to give the critics what they want and say, oh, I wish I'd had this. So he's a proud guy. I think he does believe in himself. I think he's at peace with what he did. Now, them losing in that Super Bowl, he would have loved to have gotten that thing right there. So I don't know if I totally believe him, but give him credit for being strong and making that argument.
And Eli Manning connected 2 Super Bowl rings. That's really his claim to fame.
Right.
No-brainer Hall of Famer to you?
I think so. I mean, because look at the teams that he beat for his Super Bowl. And I know some people say, his body of work, and they didn't have a whole lot of winning seasons and things like that. But he was a warrior. He was clutch when you need to. Again, you beat Tom Brady twice. For your 2 Super Bowls. Not a whole lot of guys have multiple Super Bowl rings. I say he's a Hall of Famer.
Mike Jones from The Athletic. Mike, thanks so much again. Sports Connections
Yes.
is going to be starting. This was music to my ears. I can't wait for this.
Yeah, we needed one more game, to slow the start of our mornings, but I can do much better with Sports Connections than the regular Connections.
Wait, are you going to be – you're not writing these connections?
No, I'm not doing it.
Okay.
No.
I was going to say.
Our team is, but no. I stink at the other Connections game, and I'm actually really good at this one. So.
Wait, Perloff, do you play Connections?
No.
Oh, what are you doing?
Gotta get you on board.
Go to Sports Connections then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to start with sports. I really like what I'm hearing here.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be awesome. Mike, thank you so much. I know the Bogusch plays Connections because we've talked about it in the past. I don't know if the audience, is this a ubiquitous thing? Perloff doesn't play. It's like a New York Times game on their app, and so now that The Athletic is owned by the Times, we get a Sports Connections. Bogusch, what's your percentage score?
Well, I had not played either that or Wordle in a while. So I'm off the wagon, so to speak. But
I mean, what are you, busy with other things? What do you have, a job, kids, a life, a wife?
Yes. Yes.
Boo.
I know. And no fart-filled planes to sit on and have time to play games. So.
Well, consider yourself lucky because not all of us, can avoid such stink. What's going on in the world today?
Well, on the heels of Luka and De'Aaron Fox and maybe Jimmy Butler soon, the NFL dipping its toes into the mega trade waters. We've got Myles Garrett requesting a trade out of Cleveland, and Cooper Kupp telling us that the Rams told him he'll be moved soon. Kupp does not want to leave. The team is working with him on a good destination. Trading him will save LA roughly $20 million in cap space. Now, ahead of Thursday's NBA trade deadline, the Suns may be listening to offers for Kevin Durant. The Warriors are hunting for a huge name to help Steph Curry. Golden State linked to Butler, but the latest reports there say Butler has told the Dubs he would not sign long-term with them. On the court last night, the Bucks went to OKC without Giannis, Dame, Brook Lopez, and Chris Middleton.
5 seconds left. Shea across the timeline. Blows by Jackson. Shovel feed. Shea will open. Right side angle 3 is up and in at the buzzer. Cha-ching a Thunder money ball. Punctuating an outstanding Thunder first half. OKC 78, Milwaukee 44 at the break.
So OKC up on the fake Bucks by 34 at halftime. They won 125-96. That highlight from Matt Pinto on Thunder Radio.
That's just a great product, NBA. Thanks again.
Wow. I wonder how they're losing to the NFL. It's Super Bowl week. You have a game between two marquee good franchises who are definitely contenders this year, and one team doesn't bring their starting 5.
Yeah, although I think, now in theory, this is what the NBA wants, right? Didn't they tell teams if you're going to rest guys to rest them all in one, not spread it out over multiple games? It just don't be this game against the Thunder?
I thought that it was supposed to be home games that you're supposed to rest guys.
That
because
too.
In theory, the home fans have 41 chances to see you, whereas if you're a Bucks fan living in Oklahoma City, hats off to you.
Right.
But you only get one chance.
Well, I thought it was also national TV games. Was this a national TV game?
I don't think so.
No,
Okay.
not if Matt Pinto was. I mean, I'm just saying he's their local guy.
Yeah, it's
so.
Monday, so no, they don't have the national.
Yeah, I would think Bucks Thunder would raise to the level of national game, but I think
the
there
Knicks-
are guidelines around national TV games.
And the Knicks were on NBA TV, so it wasn't the Bucks.
Okay.
The Warriors, by the way, fought off the Magic 104-99. The Kings 116-114 winners in Minnesota. DeMar DeRozan scored 33. The Wizards are hot. 2 straight wins after that 16-game skid. A 124-114 victory in Charlotte last night. And Trae Young, always hot.
Now Trae Young, 4 seconds on the 24. Trae dances. Trae spins. Trae turns. He fires a floater. It's good. A three-pointer by Trae Young. And the Hawks lead 133-130. Trae Young with the 3.
Our friend Steve Holman on Hawks Radio. Trae scoring half of his 34 in the fourth, including that winning 3 with 1.6 seconds left for a 132-130 win in Detroit.
I love his call. Like last time where it's like, Trae stole the ball. Oh my God, he won the game. Trae just won. Like the way he calls it, it's like, I don't know. It's like a race almost like horse racing or something. I don't know how to describe it.
Oh, he won it by a nose?
Yeah, exactly.
Auburn and Duke remain atop the AP men's top 25 this week, but a lot changed after them because 15 ranked teams lost last week, 3 of them losing twice. Alabama, Tennessee, Houston complete the new top 5. Number 12, St. John's, has its highest rank since the end of the 99-2000 campaign. On the court last night, number 16, Kansas, took care of 8th-ranked Iowa State, 69-52. Hunter Dickinson, 14 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 blocks in front of his grandkids. And Minnesota Wild center...
Perloff almost spit his coffee on his laptop because Hunter Dickinson's 80 years old and still playing basketball at Kansas.
Give a guy a warning, Bogusch.
And Minnesota Wild center Ryan Hartman suspended 10 games for driving an opponent's head into the ice over the weekend. Hartman, a repeat offender, which increases his punishment. He says this one, though, was a total accident. He just lost his balance fighting for a loose puck with this gentleman. Guys, back to you.
You suck, Bogusch.
Yeah, likely story. Okay, lots more to do here from Radio Row in New Orleans. It is Maggie and Perloff. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we're going to talk to someone who was interviewing for one of the high-profile openings in the NFL this cycle, and a whole lot more. Stay tuned, MNP.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Down in Music City, there's a man named Jay. He's tuned in to Maggie and Perloff every single day. Life's been a battle, he's been losing for years, but now his motto's clear: no more losing tears. He's been down, he's been low, but now he's ready for a brand new show. Jay's got questions, can't let it slide. Who's running the YouTube on the Infinity side? Jay in Nashville calling out the crew. Who's behind the curtain? He demands the truth. Peter Bummelotti's ghosting, no work in sight, but Jay's got the Maggie and Perloff show to make it right. Make it right. Been a loser so long, my losing's all gone. Tapped out my bad luck, it's time to move on. From his couch in Nashville, he's solving the case. Infinity's mystery, he's all over the place. He's got theories, he's got plans. Is it Moose or Perloff behind the cams? And Bellotti, forget it, he's MIA. Jay's the one who's showing up today. Jay in Nashville calling out the crew. Who's behind the curtain? He demands the truth. Peter Bummelotti's ghosting, no work in sight, but Jay's got the Maggie and Perloff show to make it right. Make it right. Jay's turning his luck, rising up the ranks. Infinity answers, he's storming the banks. Bellotti might miss it, but Jay's always there with a sharp-eye question and a comfy chair. Jay in Nashville calling out the crew. Who's behind the curtain? He demands the truth. Peter Bummelotti's ghosting, no work in sight, but Jay's got the Maggie and Perloff show to make it right. Jay in Nashville, he's taking the stage. From loser to legend, he's turning the page. Infinity's mystery, Bellotti's no show. Jay's the real MVP of the Maggie and Perloff show.
Andrew Bogusch, he's a man on the scene. Once a proud Ford to mail him like Micah Breen. But now he's gone rogue, yeah, he's breaking the code. Backstabbing Breen while he steals the show.
AJ's at the bar with a cold cheap beer. Says Trae Young's no big deal, don't bring him here. But the Knicks lost again and it's starting to show as he punches the jukebox playing Old Town Road. I'm over Trey, he shouts, says he tips his hat, but his phone's buzzing with Hawks game stats. Pickups parked outside, girls waiting to ride, but EJ's ranting about Trey instead of his bride. EJ don't care about Trey Young, no way, but he's crying in his beer when the Hawks outplay. Just a small town punk with a lucky streak, but Trey's living rent-free every Knicks lost week. AJ's got a shotgun rack and a pickup truck. Trey can't break my spirit, I don't give a. He's got a girl on the side, but she's feeling ignored, cause EJ's busy yelling Trey can't score no more. I'm over him, he growls as the whiskey pours, but he's watching replays from game before. Small town pride, the Knicks fans fight, but Trey's shadow looms in the neon light. EJ don't care about Trey Young, no way, but he's crying in his beer when the Hawks outplay. Just a small town punk with a lucky streak, but Trey's living rent-free every Knicks lost week. EJ don't care about Trey Young, no way, but he's crying in his beer when the Hawks outplay. Just a small town punk with a lucky streak, but Trey's living bout revenge Knicks parade day.
15 seconds.
Get that Hawks kid out of my town, but he's playing Trey's highlights when no one's around. So here's to EJ with his beer and his pride. His girl's in the rear view, but Trey's on his mind. Small town dreams with big Knicks pain, but Trey Young's the thunder and EJ's rain.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes, up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam, just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com, not available in all states. Welcome back to Radio Row in New Orleans. Our coverage of Super Bowl 59 continues on this Tuesday. But Perloff, it's always time to talk about the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, yeah.
That music is our Cowboys Quickie. And this one comes to us from the Micah Parsons podcast. He was talking with Derwin James, of course, of the LA Chargers. And he told Derwin James that he was recruited to Alabama, but not to play linebacker. Let's hear it.
Bama offered me.
What they offer?
To play running back.
No way.
Yeah.
You ain't got no finesse though, bro. I can't see you as a running back. No offense, bro. Like you all like football. When they say basketball players that play basketball like football players, they describing you, honestly, bro.
No offense. A great use of no offense. Derwin James.
Yeah,
there's more here. He says Micah Parsons lacks the wiggle to play running back.
I'm just saying, like, a running back to me, you gotta be able to, like, I feel like they're gonna take you out on third down. What?
You a first down, second down running back.
You couldn't cover me.
Bro, you got no wiggle, bro.
And then there's more. Parsons tells Derwin James that he's, built like another solid running back in the league, one of the all-time greats.
Hold up. Have you seen my high school tape, cuz?
I seen it. You just running everybody over and just fast too, bro. I gotta get you that. You fasting, so some people can't catch you, but I ain't see no wiggle.
So
I seen no wiggle.
So what Derrick Henry?
He's just fast and big.
So what is Micah Parsons? Fast and big.
Nah, bro.
It's a great podcast. I have no idea if the Cowboys are ever going to even get to the NFC Championship game, but man, is the pod funny. So that was Micah Parsons and Derwin James. Perloff, Micah Parsons as a running back at Alabama.
Well, first of all, he is the same size as Derrick Henry. He's small for a defensive player. I got to find Micah Parsons 40. That is the key here. And I love that analogy. Everyone knows that a basketball player who plays like a football player, if you ever go up against a college football player, they run in a straight line where basketball players move both vertically and horizontally. Mm-hmm. Football players move in one direction, and I totally get that. I think he nailed it. I love Micah Parsons. I would play him at both now. I think he should be a two-way player.
That is your Cowboy Quickie. Manny, you got the 40 time?
4.3640 for Micah Parsons.
Smoking. Could he have played linebacker? Here's what's funny, and I don't know if Brian Schottenheimer, the new head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, who is going to be calling plays, would do this, but do you line up a trick play for Micah Parsons? Do you give him something at the goal line? Can he handle like a handoff? Listen, your run game last year was kind of pathetic for the Dallas Cowboys.
Dowdle came on.
Okay, fine.
Rico Dowdle was fine.
Them not being able to run the ball has been a major issue, and that's why you think they're going to draft Ashton Jeanty in the first round. Now we're talking about the Cowboys, of course. Would they have a package for Micah Parsons?
I mean,
run the ball at the goal line.
I like it now. I mean, is this a serious? I mean, Micah Parsons might be good, but I assume is he going to be as good as, say, Rico Dowdle? No, Rico Dowdle, like you're giving a rep away from a trained running back.
Well, my issue is Micah Parsons, unfortunately, has had some health issues. So I don't know if I want him taking extra really, he would be doling out the punishment in this scenario, like a Derrick Henry type, but you don't want him to get hurt.
Also, too, if you're a running back, you practice every day. You're used to handling the ball. I assume Micah Parsons would fumble at one point because he doesn't practice a running back, unless you're going to take real time having him practice a running back. But there's no way they'll do that.
I know. See, this is the problem, to go away from Micah Parsons for a second and to bring it to the current Super Bowl matchup with the Eagles and the Chiefs.
Right.
When Jalen Hurts hurt his knee, it was really crazy to me that they don't have anyone else to execute the tush push. And I understand that Hurts is great at it because he's got that strong lower body, because he's, able to get low to the ground. He's not that tall. I'm like, you couldn't have Saquon Barkley. You don't think that he could handle the snap? The guy's handling the football. It's not like Michael Parsons where you're taking a defensive player and putting them on offense. But Saquon Barkley has the ball in his hands all the time. That's also his job. He couldn't take a snap under center. I don't believe it.
Yeah, but also you don't really want to expose Saquon anymore. Why go with Saquon? Because of his thighs, you're saying?
I'm saying Jalen Hurts was hurt and they couldn't do the tush push
also,
anymore.
One thing about
you want to expose your quarterback to hurt?
sneaks is you want length. That's why the Ravens go with Mark Andrews. He just falls forward. And Tom Brady was amazing quarterback sneaks because he's tall. Saquon's short.
Yeah, but this is not a quarterback sneak. This is a tush push. They are very, you're a Philadelphia fan. They are very different.
They're not that different. It's basically a quarterback sneak, which also always works. Quarterback sneaks work at an incredibly high percentage. Every fan knows, why did you just sneak the ball? It always works, except for Josh Allen.
Except for Josh Allen,
who doesn't
he stands up.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. Generally, Josh Allen's 6'5". He should just fall forward.
He's too big.
Jared Goff's also pretty bad at it, too.
Well, and teams can't execute the tush push in the way that the Eagles do. But I just think that Hurts, if let's say he re-injures his knee in the game, and he's not coming out, but the tush push, Pearl, is such a big part of the Eagles' identity offensively. Why not just have the backup plan of Saquon Barkley being able to get on?
Why not do Dallas? I would do Dallas Goedert because he's gigantic.
Well, that doesn't work in the tush push,
but
though. That's the fallacy of the tush push.
They tush push Mark Andrews.
Yeah, they do, but I think his is a more QB sneak. You need the low man. That's the rugby part of it.
Anyway, Jalen Hurts is not hurt, so I don't think this is a moot point.
No, clearly not.
I think it takes a lot of practice to do the tush push. What I'm really worried about is the officials coming after the tush push. All of a sudden, we're getting a lot of false starts on tush pushes. They didn't give them the measurement. They don't like it. I mean, nobody likes it. Nobody outside of Philadelphia likes the tush push. Well, that's one thing America can agree on. I know they're tired of the Chiefs. They hate the tush push.
Yeah, I would just say just blast it into the sun. I'm not into it anymore.
Well, I mean, how about Micah Parsons when he's on the Philadelphia Eagles in a couple years?
Yeah, will he do the tush push? Well, this is the problem. If you don't want Saquon Barkley doing it or Dallas Goedert or someone actually handles a football, why are you going to give it to Parsons? I'd love to see him get a couple carries at the goal line, but this is off of Micah Parsons saying he was recruited to Alabama to play running back.
The thing with two-way players, the greatest, probably, I would argue, the most exciting person in NFL history with the ball in their hand was Devin Hester. He was meh as a wide receiver. So it just didn't work. Like Deion Sanders when he lined up at wide receiver was not the same. He was incredible as a punt returner, and when he got an interception, watch out. But they tried him in wide receiver, I believe, and it's just you need too much practice time. That's what I worry about Travis Hunter. Like, is he going to be good at both or elite at both? Or would he be elite at one? It's hard to be a two-way player. It really it's not like Shohei, who was ridiculously elite at both.
Sure.
It's rare. We're laughing about Micah Parsons, but that can't be a real strategy.
Well, now if you want to take it to the Derrick Henry part of it and the draft coming up, I mean, he does seem to fit the moniker of generational talent. But I think if you are a team that's drafting him, you have to have a clear vision and plan for what he's going to do. And I think that plan is playing corner.
Oh, Travis Hunter. Yeah.
Travis Hunter. What did I say, Travis Henry?
No, I think he said Derrick Henry.
Travis Hunter.
Okay.
We're talking about the draft.
Travis Hunter. Okay.
Apologies for whatever I said. I'm in a gumbo haze.
Yeah.
But I think that
you got what Travis Henry did. Well, maybe you said Travis Henry.
Maybe.
Former Bills
running
running
back.
Really good. So wait, what would you? I'm sorry. Say again. What would you do?
Like, you have to have this clear plan for him, right? And I think that the plan has to be for him to play corner, and whatever else you get out of it is really bonus. Do you think you're really drafting him to be like, all right, he can't play that many snaps in the NFL. He's going to get hurt.
But do they have a lot of evidence that he is a shutdown elite corner? Because he was in the Big 12. They kind of had mediocre competition throughout his stay at Colorado. I don't know that.
But you can say that about either side of the ball. Like,
feels like yeah, but we can see
if you get him as a running back, you're gonna be like, well, he wasn't playing against elite corners. Like, you could make that
argument.
argument.
But you could see him more wide receiver. I think you could see the talent. Quarterback, the best cornerbacks don't do anything because no one throws to them. I don't know. I think you have to use him a lot both ways. He is unique too.
He is. I at the speed of the NFL and everything else, I would just be worried that all of a sudden he would get hurt. 855-212-4227. It is Maggie and Perloff. We're here on Radio Row in New Orleans. So we started this with Micah Parsons saying that he was recruited to Alabama to play running back. Mm-hmm. Alabama was kind of a theme yesterday when we were at the alligator farm.
Yeah.
And not because of a good reason. This is obviously deep into LSU country, and so they had a cute thing in one of the alligator pens of a skeleton that was there wearing an Alabama shirt. And so very, very funny, very cute. But we actually did get to hold a 5.5-foot alligator yesterday, and that was just one of the many animals that we got to touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I feel like I now know Maggie's 40 time because the speed she had to get out of that pen where the alligator was.
Quicker than Micah Parsons?
Yeah, quicker than Micah Parsons. Put her next to, Xavier Worthy.
Yeah. I would have dusted all those fools.
She was out of there.
Yeah.
In flats, by the way, for those wondering.
No, it was no high heels at the alligator farm. I'm not that silly, but there's something about, so we got to get into this pen with an alligator named Minnie, and she was 5.5 feet, and they kept insisting that she was not going to eat us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because apparently alligators don't really eat in the winter.
No, I don't think. I think all year round Minnie was safe. She's been. Some of these alligators have grown up around humans and they've trained them. And also, I don't think alligators are naturally aggressive towards humans most of the time.
Well, that was not something I was going to test yesterday.
Yeah, when you're holding them. And you were afraid they were going to sense your nerves.
Yes, I was very worried that all the animals that we ended up holding yesterday were going to end up feeling my fear, and that was going to make them react. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was giving out bad vibes. I completely admit that when it came to the animals.
Can I tell you that this tour got off to one of the slowest starts? Because will you admit we were totally confused when we got there?
Yeah.
Because you had been talking to a woman, right?
No. I was emailing.
Emailing. But the guy who was there,
Mr. Richard,
I'm not sure he knew exactly what we were doing there.
I think they were pretty light on the details of what we were there to do, but Mr. Richard was not only there, he was on time. We were late by about 10 minutes.
Oh, he was there for us?
He was there for us, yes.
He never made that clear. He's like, and also, too, there was a part of the tour, the first part of the tour, I was really nervous because we're in this little entryway, this little
gift
store.
Shop, basically.
And he spent 5 minutes. Okay, see this picture here? This here is Tommy Kleber. T-Mike. This here is Tommy Kleber's second grandchild. And then
get the family tree.
He treated them like it was George Washington.
But meanwhile, we were surrounded by animals.
Yeah, we were sure, but we did about 5 minutes on the Kleber family photo, and he's like, "You may not know that. That's Billy Kleber.
Well, they were.
He's a third cousin.
They were on seasons 1 of 2 of Swamp People.
And
they are celebrities. But here's when I knew it was going to be a great day, and it was a great day.
Yeah.
Is when we showed up to Kleber and Sons Gator Tours. Fantastic. Check it out. Fun for the whole family. High recommend. 5 stars. And Mr. Richard was sitting outside waiting for us. They're closed on Mondays, but he opened up the shop for us. And he was missing 4 fingers.
Yeah.
And I was like, this guy knows alligator.
Yeah.
This guy, you can't fake that.
Yeah.
He only has 6 fingers. Like, he knows these animals. And the fact that he's still here means he loves these animals, and he's going to give us a great tour. And he did.
Yeah. This here is Bobby Kleber. You might know him. He's a second cousin, twice removed. By the way,
We got the grandkids. We got everybody.
there's also a gigantic Super Bowl promo. Apparently, Cletus was there. The
from
Fox
NFL.
robot. Like, literally, some robot was there eating crawfish at the farm a week ago.
It was memorable. We're going to have all of it on our social media. Don't move. We're back in a minute.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Chiefs going for history in Super Bowl 59, but will they get an assist from the officials? That was a big topic yesterday as Roger Goodell did his annual press conference. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We're here in New Orleans. And Perloff, I'm sure this is not what the NFL wants. They don't want a conversation about whether the Chiefs are getting favorable calls, but listen, we're on across the country. We talk to football fans every single day. This is a topic that is on their minds, wondering not just if the games are on the level, I think we all believe that, but whether or not the Chiefs do get some extra home field advantage when it comes to calls and just a little home cooking.
Well, you keep saying home like it's only an Arrowhead. They ran through last year's playoffs, and the Super Bowl is always a neutral site. This is their, fifth Super Bowl? So, I don't think people think it's an Arrowhead thing. I think people think it's a Chiefs thing. You think it's an Arrowhead? I'm trying to think. People don't make that connection because they're winning everywhere.
That's true, but in terms of some of the more questionable calls, let's just take one of the most recent one, the Buffalo Bills and that 4th and 1 call where 2 officials spot the ball at a different place, right? These are judgment calls ultimately until we get some better technology. And you said it and I agreed with you. If that had been in Buffalo, I think they give Josh Allen the first down. Now, I don't know if they win the game, but I do think the drive continues and then we see what happens. It was in the fourth quarter in a tie game. So I think that the Chiefs are benefiting from what a lot of teams benefit from, which I do think is a home field advantage that exists because referees are human and we know that they tend to go towards the home crowd. That's it.
I don't think that's it. I really don't.
Okay, what do you think it is?
I mean, I think it's star treatment for Patrick Mahomes. I'm trying to think of big games. They've had so many that weren't at Arrowhead. All the Super Bowls, I felt like there was. I wish I had more specifics. I felt like they definitely didn't get hurt by the officials in the San Francisco game. I know there was a key play at the end where there was an obvious hold that they just let go. I don't know. I just don't think. I think it's more than home cookie, and we're talking about the public perception.
Yeah.
I don't think people perceive it that way. Do you think that? I don't think people are talking to Goodell because maybe you're right. It only is an Arrowhead advantage, but I think the idea out there among most of the football public is they get the calls everywhere.
855-212-4227. We're in New Orleans, but of course we can still take your phone calls on this topic. And, we put a poll out there earlier today at M&P on X, and we asked you, do you think the Chiefs benefit from an officiating bias? And 74% of you say yes. Now, the questions are why. And yeah, you can just say star calls from Patrick Mahomes, but there's a lot of stars in the league, right? And Josh Allen does get calls, and I think Lamar Jackson gets calls. They do. But one of the things a caller brought up earlier, and I think he nailed it, which is the idea that Mahomes is competing not just with his contemporaries, but all time. Whether or not he's going to go down as the greatest quarterback means that the NFL may want to see him always competing at the highest level. Now, I'm not one of these people that thinks Goodell's sitting around in a smoky room sipping on brandy and cigars and saying, haha, we got him again. Nothing like that. But maybe there is this sort of unconscious bias sometimes with the referees that hey, the more the Patrick Mahomes, the better he does, the more, I don't know, the better this whole thing gets. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to call out referees in that way. I don't think they're being that sinister on purpose.
But also, there's some other big star quarterbacks. You don't think the NFL wants to see Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson advance to this level and create more stars? If I was writing the script, I might switch it up more. Jalen Hurts is, unfortunately, for whatever reason, because he doesn't throw at a high volume. He's not the kind of star the NFL is going to want to get there. There's nobody saying the NFL is conspiring to get Jalen Hurts at this game. Guy had 2,900 passing yards this year, right?
Right. So I think that's your evidence.
Yeah.
There's a lot of evidence, but I don't think any of this is fixed.
My point was, I don't think the NFL just looks at this as a Mahomes product. If they were going to conspire, I think they also want to see Josh Allen be a big star. I think they want to see Lamar Jackson be a big star. I think they don't mind new blood. So I guess I'm gutting that theory that it's all about Mahomes. If the NFL, because Taylor probably would pick the Chiefs, but I think at a certain point, the NFL is also going to want to mix it up a little bit, get some new cast members in their film.
For this TV show?
Like if I'm writing the script, I'm sure that they have studies on this. When they script next year's, if they get the three-peat, great. Then they're going to script the Chiefs out of this one, like a pro wrestling scenario, right? Like eventually, even the most popular champions, Hulk Hogan, got tiring for the WWE. You got to move on. So I'm curious what they're going to write next year.
You say this, and I know you're joking, but there are people out there who are listening who don't think you're joking.
I'm really commenting I don't think this is the NFL needs Mahomes here. I do think that they don't view it. Mahomes is not Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was the entire lifeblood of the NBA ratings. When he left, that was a huge problem for the NBA. I don't think Mahomes is that kind of figure in the NFL. The teams, the NFL is just built differently.
Yeah. So
I'm sort of gutting this. It's all about Mahomes theory. And honestly, I think the Chiefs fatigue, I wonder how Goodell feels about that. I forget bias for a second. Do you think this is the ideal matchup for the NFL?
Yes, I do. And I don't know about the Eagles part of it, but I think it does help them, and I think it's fortuitous that they get the Chiefs here because they're going for history. And you're going to have Tom Brady on the call of the guy who, after this game, people might say is better than him. I mean, that's some crazy good drama that you get.
It'll probably be the highest rated Super Bowl ever because last year was the highest.
Yeah, and listen, the NFL is set on world domination. Speaking of the future of the Super Bowl, so yesterday, Roger Goodell, and you can call us, by the way, at 855-212-4227. Chiefs bias, do you think it's real or not when it comes to the officiating? But the other part is, Goodell is not hiding the fact that they want 16 international games. So get your passports ready, make sure they're up to speed. 16, a full slate, basically, of international games and a permanent franchise in another country soon.
Overseas.
Well, the way that he framed it is he said, I do think there's potential someday that we're going to have an international franchise, and if we do, I think it would be no surprise at all if the Super Bowl follows and is played there.
That's going to be a heck of an expense report.
Get ready, Westwood One.
Yeah, we're going to Turkey. I don't know where this is going to be.
I've got to think London's the closest.
And they have the relationship, but I think they like Germany. I think they probably like Spain. They might like Brazil. They're
not going to Brazil. Brazil's a long flight. They're not doing Brazil.
Well, they just did it.
For the Super Bowl.
I don't know. But
no, it's definitely, trust me, the Super Bowl is not going to Brazil.
Okay, it's a long flight from California to London.
Yeah, but it's a long flight from California to Brazil. Brazil's 13 hours from New York. I'm just saying,
But the time change isn't the same. See, if you're trying to have a Super Bowl and it's going to be somewhere internationally, we're talking about Roger Goodell talking about the state of the game in terms of going overseas, Brazil or Mexico City or something like that actually makes the most sense, because if you have it in London, what time are you kicking off? You want to kick off in the middle of the afternoon? That's going to be the morning, for us here in America. Or you want to kick off late, and then your game's going to not end until 2 a.m.
Well, how about,
it's a 6-hour
how
time
about
difference.
we compromise? How about 9 p.m. London time, which would be 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time?
9 p.m. London time. I don't think they want the Super Bowl kicking off at noon in California.
Well, it kicks off at 3 now.
I know, but I think that's different. Anyway, 855-212-4227. So that's why I think Brazil or Mexico City, because the time differences are, they're aligned with our own country.
Yeah. I don't know. Mexico City is, I don't even think they're putting in the application this particular month. obviously America and Mexico have a lot going on right now.
Yeah, we got a lot going on right now. Maybe this will solve it.
When Goodell talks about this, I think that he's talking about overseas because he really wants to sell shirts all over the world. That's the key. Like, he needs to expand.
Yeah.
And Brazil makes sense too, but I do think that Brazil is a challenging trip.
So,
and also where they go to Australia next year. Asia is a big market they've been trying to get in forever.
Yeah, that's crazy for as far as a permanent team. But let's get more from Goodell here in terms of the season. You thought it was long now. It's about to be longer. Goodell talking about an 18-game season, so 19 weeks, maybe 20 weeks, maybe a double bye if you have 18 games. No formal negotiations yet. Here's Goodell.
We haven't had any formal negotiating sessions about an extension. I'm certain it'll come up in the context of that in some fashion. It is something that Lloyd and I have had informal conversations about, but there's a lot of work to be done.
Okay, so what goes into any decision to go to 18 games, Raj?
We committed in 2011 when we signed a collective bargaining agreement that the players would not only have a say in that, but they would actually be able to prevent it from happening or support it from happening. We were able to do that when we moved to 17 games back in 20.
Okay, more from Goodell saying 18 games could be possible because of all the advancements in player safety. Oh, okay, cut 12. Maybe not. That's okay. So he said that basically, let's hear it, Manny.
I think all of those are factors in how do we look at the offseason and how do we look at that with our partners, the players, and try to continue to make advancements in this case. And if we do, 18-2 might be a possibility because we know that fans, I think, love football. They want more football, but we have to be incredibly sensitive and smart about the balance and how we deal with that. And I think that's something that I think we're all interested in focusing on, but it hasn't begun yet.
Okay, so there's Roger. 18 games, maybe 2 buys. Perloff, do you like it?
Yes, I generally like more football, but I got to tell you, the last 2 weeks of the season were brutal, Maggie. So I would not expand it just because what happens when teams get out of the playoffs, obviously, like every sport, they stop trying.
Yep.
So I worry that they have the perfect formula now. I actually would not add an 18th game. And also that player safety stuff. Give me a break.
I mean, well, you and I are totally in line on this one. I would not expand it, and this is our jobs. It would make it much easier for us if we just had football 52 weeks out of the year. It'd be awesome, but I wouldn't do it, especially if you're going to keep the draft the same way, which is just if you have the worst record, you automatically get the top pick.
Okay.
If it was going to be more of a draft lottery and there's less incentive for tanking and stuff like that, maybe, but you're right. The last couple weeks of the season is just sometimes can be embarrassing. And here's the other part. I feel like I'm still watching a lot of backups. I mean, they're trying to keep the quarterbacks as safe as possible. It seems almost like a miracle if a QB actually makes it through a full season.
Well, I mean, it's unintended consequences. You make the rules beneficial for quarterbacks to run, and they get hurt more because they run more.
Yeah.
Because the rules help them. And by the way, this safety thing, maybe I did see the report that concussions are down, but it was less than a month ago we saw Trevor Lawrence in the fencer's pose. Like, this is scary. It is, and I honestly think they missed a lot of concussions. There were obvious concussions this year, like obvious ones, especially early in the season. They didn't seem to be super. Whoever the spotter was on vacation in September and October. Yeah. I thought they got very lax with concussion spotting. I think they got a little better later in the year. To me, I felt like they pulled back a little bit. So of course the numbers are down.
855-212-4227. So yeah, some of the big hot button issues, more games. And here's the thing, they will always get the players to approve this. And the way that they do that is because the entire players union votes on it. So yeah, the star players who are making $50 billion a year, they don't want more games, but the guys who are making $200,000, $300,000, this is legit money to them, and totally understand why they would vote for just more. So 18 games and 2 buys, a franchise going international permanently, and then that franchise hosting a Super Bowl is all potentially in the future, not too distant future. And then also the idea that it's ridiculous that the Chiefs do get favored by the officials.
Yeah, I think there's still more impediments to the overseas team. I mean, if we're talking about Toronto or Mexico City, sure. Right. But I think that they've been talking about this overseas team for a long time now.
I think the pandemic may have had to pull it back a little bit. All of a sudden, we're in this global thing, and
I think
it got put on the back burner because of that.
They've been talking about it for at least a decade and made zero progress in reality.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Also, the Super Bowl thing, like there are other owners who want a Super Bowl too. If Chicago does get a stadium made with a dome on it, they're going to want it. I don't think it's as simple because Goodell has been talking about this forever since I started covering the NFL.
Again, if you want to weigh in, we are taking calls all week here in New Orleans, 855-212-4227. Coming up, we're going to talk with someone who was making the rounds in this year's GM hiring cycle, and someone who's got a lot of insights, especially into Myles, Garrett, and Cooper Kupp. Both could be on the trade block. Well, Cooper Kupp definitely. Myles Garrett asking for a trade. We get into all that in just moments. It's Maggie and Perloff from Radio Row.
You're in a 5-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, Radio Row in New Orleans, and we're so pleased to be joined by the current president of football operations at Sumer Sports, which is one of the leading analytical companies that provide services and data for so many NFL teams. His name is Thomas Dimitroff. Of course, he was the general manager of the Atlanta Falcons from 2008 to 2020. Before that, 6 seasons with the New England Patriots. Thomas, it's great to have you back on the set. How you been?
Always love it. You guys are one of my highlights. You guys keep it upbeat, and I love it.
Lie to us, Thomas. Lie to us. Okay, so before we get into some of the stuff you're doing with Sumer Sports, and a very busy last couple months for you personally, interviewing with the Jets for their GM opening. But we find out yesterday, Myles Garrett asking for a trade, Cooper Kupp announcing that the team basically wants to trade him and they want to find a good fit. Let's start with Myles Garrett. If you're a rival GM, you're on the phone in 5 seconds, 4 seconds, and what's your offer?
Exactly. You're after it, and I think you have to go in there thinking that this is going to be 2 1s, and it's Khalil Mack-ish, right? It's 2 1s and maybe a 3 and maybe something else. I mean, I know a lot of people are like, really? Is that really what happens? He's not a quarterback. I mean, we know how important it is. We know how many mistakes are made with those pass rush guys. Knowing what you have and what you're investing in is a lot easier in my mind to pull that trigger.
If you're the Browns and you do get offers, say the Eagles call you and they say, we'll give you a bunch of picks. The Browns know that pick is going to be 29 or 30 if Myles Garrett is on that team. Is that a big factor of where he ends up going? Because, say, the Bears or the Titans, a team who was behind, calls and says, we'll give you a 2026 pick. Wouldn't the Browns want that team to trade with?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think you go in there trying to be creative and make sure you maximize what you can. But I will tell you, in the back of your mind, when something like this happens, like that's a treacherous situation when your stud is telling everyone that he wants out.
Yeah.
You're like, I just need to get 2 1s. Like, I don't care where it is. If I have a player in that first round, exactly what you're saying is right. But I know in the end, you start getting nervous and you start saying, well, I'm all right. At one time I came in thinking I wanted the 9th pick overall. I'm all right with 29. It's probably not the way it's going to play out. But
Thomas Dimitroff is with us. I mean, listen, I'm not trying to fire anybody, but I can't imagine that the guys in Cleveland feel pretty confident about where they stand and whether they're even going to be making these 2026 picks, because it has gone beyond sideways there. The Deshaun Watson contract is an abject disaster. Now your best player is asking out on social media. I mean, this is just your worst nightmare. Yet they hold the 2nd overall pick. That's the one glimmer of hope. I'm curious if they go quarterback to try to replace Deshaun, and let's say they have their sights on Shedeur Sanders, and you are a former GM, and I'm sure you dealt with maybe not this specific thing. What if Deion gets involved and says, I don't want my son going to a place that kind of has a reputation for being a black hole for QBs?
That's exactly where your head would go on. And again, I mean, there's an argument right now. Okay, is it Shedeur? Where is Cam Ward? Like, who are there 1 and 2? And then, quite honestly, who's the 3rd? Right? That's a whole other conversation. Like, where is that guy? That whole idea of Deion's involvement. We all know that Shedeur Sanders has a lot of talent. Certain ways. There are other ways that he's not, as talented as Jaden Daniels. Right? I mean, that's a whole other conversation. The idea of Deion coming and getting involved, it's another one of those pit-of-the-stomach situations for a general manager. Like, the last thing you want to do is go in there and have all of this that's been happening for a while, And Andrew Berry is a smart guy. He's a good person, and he knows what he wants. But this is tough for him, right? This is tough for him and Kevin to try to figure this out. I think they just got new deals, though, right?
Yeah, but
I know you don't care about that.
It doesn't. Since the coaches and GMs don't count against the salary cap, I always feel like at any moment a billionaire owner could say, you know what, whatever, I'll pay him to go away.
You end up talking to Deion. You have really deep conversations with him. That's what you end up doing in my mind. And Deion's got such a presence in this world that it's a legit extra part of things that I think the team that takes Shedeur obviously going to have to be comfortable with that kind of distraction, if that's what you call it. Good guy, of course. We all know Deion, but that's a tough one.
So Ben Johnson took the job with the Bears, and he said the analytics say quarterback play is the most important thing in building an NFL team. So I was wondering at Sumer Sports, when you look at the numbers, and this is not a strong quarterback class, is there a real argument to overdraft, say, Jalen Milroe or Jackson Dart? If you're a team in the top 10, is it okay to take a leap at quarterback, or what would you advise a team? Wait till the second round? Because it doesn't feel like there are 6 quarterbacks like last year.
No, there aren't. This is not the class from last year in my mind. No question about it. There are some good quarterbacks, but we're not seeing the same, at least at this point. I also had interviewed, as you guys may or may not know, with Tennessee, and I was daydreaming, wow, would I ever be involved with the first pick ever? I was involved with the 3rd pick with Matt Ryan, first pick overall. I started daydreaming, and I was known as Trader Thomas. I was always a move-up guy. I wasn't a move-back guy, and I started daydreaming about back to 8, 10, 11, 12, get a really, really stout offensive lineman, for that team to work on the right side, get all kinds of trade draft booty. That's a great way to do it. This is the draft to do that, to answer your question. I just don't know what you do. I know that there are a couple good quarterbacks that will be considered in the top 10. Too many times, and we get 32 GMs right here, right now. Raise your hand. How many times we make mistakes because of need, and we overextend our need, and we just get caught up in it.
Thomas Dimitroff is joining us. He's the president of football operations at Sumer Sports. You've been doing this for a while now. You guys have really made a name for yourselves in this industry, and you started it.
Well, it's funny because it's been 3 years. We started with just 3 of us, the owner and his son and me, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, now we're about 75 strong, and we have probably 45 data scientists and engineers, and we have 25 former general former NFL people, 5 former general managers. Like, we have a lot going here. It just very quickly, subjective, all of our scouting information, and objective. It's a great combination for a third party.
It's fantastic, and it's funny. You're working with someone's son is going to be my clunky transition into asking you about your interview with the New York Jets, because the report came out in the Athletic that Jack and Brick Johnson, the sons of Woody Johnson, maybe getting have a say. It's not the final say, but they're used as a data point on decisions being made with regards to trades and other things. Did you ask about that in your interview? Were they there in your interview? Do you feel like the sons now of Woody Johnson are a presence in the organization in a big way?
I think being realistic about that, owners and their sons, or father and son, what a cool opportunity to be a part of something together. I get that, right? I was around it with Arthur Blank and his sons. I mean, they were growing. They were a little bit older than Woody's sons.
Yeah,
but
they're teenagers.
Yeah, but the idea of data, I was trying to get my head around it, right? It was Madden they were talking about, right?
The Madden rating.
Yeah. Well,
on Jerry Jeudy, was it? Yeah.
But I think it was brought up for a reason, and when I start thinking about that and being around owners, NFL owners, they are going to listen to their sons and say, well, that's an interesting thought. Maybe I should go ask the general manager or the head coach. And we, as general managers, former general managers, head coaches, say, really, let's not talk about Madden. But there is a reason the Madden data came up, and you could take the Madden data and then go over to Sumer and realize, yeah, it's parallel. It's a data point. And so I'm not defending it because it's never easy, right? But it is a fact. If you're a general manager, in my case, you have to learn to navigate the route with your owner. And I mean, think about it. I don't know if you guys have kids, but think about it. You want that bond, and I'm not playing dime store psychologist, but what a great way to be involved with your son to say, yeah, let's talk about my football team. And so anyway, That's not an easy answer. I get it.
What about when Giants GM Joe Shane's son on offseason Hard Knocks said, hey, you should draft that guy Jada Daniels. It turned out Joe Shane's son is a future GM. Would you have ever done that offseason Hard Knocks that the Giants did this year?
Well, I did. We did Hard Knocks, interestingly enough, way back, probably out of mid-2010 or 11. And it was interesting, but I was very much more controlled about it, right? I maybe coming from New England, I just was a little bit more hefty about the paranoia of it all. I remember it was a conversation one time in my office. There were all these speakers and everything. It must have been 5. And I got in a conversation. I got off at 10 seconds later. I ran down the hall and I opened the doors. I'm like, did you guys get that? It was a horrible conversation. I'm like, no, Thomas, we didn't get it. You weren't on the mode. So you're always paranoid in that. That whole scope of that is tough.
The Giants really exposed themselves.
They did. It's easy to do that. I don't know him today if I would ever want to do that again.
I mean, it's literally been a theme for Saquon Barkley all year because every time he hits another milestone, it's almost like the 1A conversation is, wow, how badly did the New York Giants really screw this thing up? It's like it can't escape it. And here we are at the Super Bowl, and he's the biggest star on a team that's trying to take down a dynasty. Right. Thomas Dimitroff is with us. He's the president of football operations at Sumer Sports. Last one, just want to go back to the Jets for a second because you did interview with them to be their GM. Did you tell them you would have kept Rodgers or you would have moved on from Rodgers? What was your pitch to the Jets, and do you think they had an idea of what they wanted to hear?
Yeah, I mean, Maggie, my pitch was this guy is one of the best to have ever played in the game. I recognize that. I watched a lot of vids on him. When you're preparing for a GM job, you watch inside out on their roster. Aaron Rodgers can still make plays. Aaron Rodgers can still win for a team. Aaron Rodgers can make throws off camber and adjusting and do things that are very special. And I still think it's time for them to move on. And he goes somewhere for another couple years and maybe helps the team, helps develop a guy if he's in that mode. I don't think it should be at New York.
What was your
who would play quarterback for the Jets?
That's the next big question, right? Are you messing around in free agency, or are you looking at this group of college guys that were arguing, where are they? Are they 5 to 10? Are they, they're
What'd
picking.
you tell Woody?
Well, I just said we have a lot of work to do here because, because there is a free agent out there that's at the top of the free agent list that might not come there, right? Because he's been there before. Isn't that correct?
Sam Darnold.
Right.
Yeah, a long history with Sam Darnold.
Let's ask Tom Brady. You were around a lot in New England. Now he's sort of got this unique role as a broadcaster and a minority owner of the Raiders. Knowing the way Tom Brady's mind works, do you think he will have success as a team builder?
I do. I think Tom is so driven. Tom is one of those guys that has such an acute eye for football and developing. Having been around Bill, but also having been at Michigan, like he has a really, really good understanding. I don't know what your assessment was of him as an announcer, but
he improved throughout the season. That's the assessment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think he's a perfectionist, or whatever we call that these days. He's going to drive himself to be the best. He's going to surround himself with the right people. Team of teams idea. I think that's a big part of what he's going to do, and we'll be interested to see. I like Spytek. I mean, he's got a great reputation around.
John Spytek.
Yeah, John does around the league. A lot of people have been pulling for him. Those are good guys when they finally get their opportunity to be a GM, and I think it's going to be a good fit.
Yeah, Spytek kind of sounds like something that the Patriots would have used to spy on Peyton Manning or something. But no, John Spytek, he played with Brady at Michigan. Last one for you, Thomas Dimitroff here, football operations for Sumer Sports, and it's a company that you believe in full-heartedly, and it does great work. What's Belichick's record going to be his first season at North Carolina?
Wow. I'm. By the way, you think he probably picks up the phone for 20 seconds, talks to the uncle, and will recruit the heck out of anyone, right? Most people think, wow, is Bill really going to be the recruiting aficionado? But I think, to answer your question, I just really think they're going to turn it around there. I think he's got that ability
What
to
does
do
that
it.
mean, college football playoff?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
No.
Will he be there long enough to turn it around?
If he were to be there long enough, I think he could. I really do. I believe that. I think people are going to clamor to hang out and try to get him to get them to the pros and maximize his ability.
All right, we're out of time, but why are the Eagles going to win this Super Bowl? I'm an Eagles fan. I was going to say,
Not
what's
a
your
biased
pick?
question.
What's your pick, and why is it that you like the Eagles so much? My Eagles.
Look, I love the way I love the way Howie builds a football team, and everything there. There's grit there, not just because of the city, just everything about where they're playing right now. I think everything is operating so well, and I think they go in and. Our Sumer brain, we have an AI brain right now, and it's saying that the edge is going to Philly, so for whatever that's worth. That's not Thomas Dimitroff saying that.
Send that directly to Kansas City.
like a lot of teams, it's a heavy analytic team, right?
Yeah, they're on top of it. And also, but Howie's a tough guy, right? I always said, when Howie will hear whether I vote against him or not. Brett Veach doesn't care as much. So if I'm gonna pick one way or another, Howie, I think it's gonna be really, really close, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Howie, because you're listening. Yeah.
That's right.
Thomas Dimitroff, again, president of football operations at Sumer Sports. This is always a treat for us to get to talk with you
Love it.
anytime we can. You make us smarter.
You
Thank
guys
you
are
very
great.
much.
Thanks so much.
Okay, let's turn our attention. Andrew Bogusch is here. He's got headlines for us on this fine Tuesday. What's up, Bogusch?
Guys, I thought we were all friends here. When was someone going to tell me that Jalen Brunson and the Knicks are this good?
A minute remaining. Brunson at 3. Bang! Jalen Brunson does it again! Timeout Rockets!
Mike Breen on MSG TV. Brunson scored 17 fourth-quarter points, 42 total, plus 10 assists in a 124-118 win over the Rockets, who led by 11 through 3 at the Garden. Knicks head coach Tom Thibodeau.
There was a determination by everybody out there to get it done. So there was great communication, there was hustle, people were connected, and when that happens, good things come from that.
And now the Rockets have their first 3-game losing streak of the season. Manny, is this why you're wearing Knicks stuff today?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm shocked that it took you, 3.5 hours to get to it, but, whatever.
Not a coincidence. The Blazers are the Knicks of the West. They've won 4 straight 8-9, 121-119 over the Suns in OT last night. DeAndre Ayton, 25 points, 20 boards. Do that, Brunson, against his old team. Devin Booker became the Suns' all-time leading scorer in defeat. Nikola Jokic, another triple-double, 27 points, 14 rebounds, 10 assists in a 125-113 Nuggets win over the Pelicans. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 34 as the Thunder posted a 125-96 win over the Bucks, who did not have Giannis or Dame or Chris Middleton or Brook Lopez. And the Grizzlies outscored the Spurs 128-109 in a game that started 45 minutes late because of a medical emergency involving a fan in the front row. Once the Super Bowl is over, Eagles OC Kellen Moore is free to become the Saints head coach. Fox tried to get something out of him last night, asking if he likes the Superdome.
Yeah, it's a tough place to play. I like it.
When talking to
Sounds like Andrew Luck.
Yeah. Or me. When talking to reporters later on, Moore said a little more about meeting with GM Mickey Loomis.
Great experience meeting with Mickey and the rest of that leadership group. And so obviously had 2 opportunities to meet with them. Obviously now the focus is on this game, and then we'll let that situation play itself out after.
That, of course, from Super Bowl opening night in New Orleans. As we know, the Saints are the last team looking for a head coach this cycle. Rams passing game coordinator Nick Caley is the Texans' new OC. Major League Baseball fired on Pat Hoberg, one of the best they have yesterday after a gambling investigation and a drawn-out arbitration process. Hoberg did not bet on or influence games, but shared a gambling account with a friend who did bet on baseball. And on top of that, they both deleted messages and apps they used to talk about their gambling once the investigation started. Hoberg can apply for reinstatement a year from now.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be that person, but it just... Okay, so the umpire, Pat Hoberg, is sharing an online gambling account with a known poker player who's also betting on baseball, yet they can definitively say that he did not supply any information and that he didn't help this guy place any bets. Like, how have you... I know that there are some major safeguards in place.
Yes.
I totally get that. But I don't know. Like, it just seems a little too... And they deleted all these text messages. Like, it's just a little too much for me to take at face value.
Yeah, and all those messages from someone named Ipe that got deleted. What's that about, folks?
Well, I guess I'll say this in their defense. According to MLB, the amount of money bet and won were regular sums. No one won tens of millions of dollars. Nobody, I guess, won weirdly successful huge bets. So if you just look at the paperwork, so to speak, it doesn't look like they were taking advantage of things, but the deleting of text is a hard thing for me to get past.
So we all remember the Tim Donaghy basketball scandal, right? He was the disgraced referee who says he never actually bet on games, but he was providing information, betting information to other people, and some of them were like known mob people, okay?
Right.
What I learned from that is he had this like not that complicated communication system of how he would tell people which game to bet on. So I'm wondering if maybe the DraftKings account, again, I realize it's a little bit of a theory, the DraftKings account, they could have said, okay, here's the code. If I bet 50 cents on so-and-so to win, that means I'm really telling you something else. Do you get what I'm saying?
So there's like a bigger web of people that are like taking cues from?
No. I'm saying like if you really think that the, I'm trying to think of a way that this could work. Like if you want to bet on, you're telling me that the Seattle Mariners something. You actually are placing a small bet on the Seattle Sounders or a small bet, like it's a signaling. No, guys, you gotta think like criminals,
no,
guys.
I'm sorry, we're not.
Yeah.
Do you want to be international masterminds, or do we just want to sit here talking to each other about
it doesn't sound like
plane
one, Maggie.
farts? Can we get a sharper, everybody?
You're like, as you all know, the code when you say Mariners really means put $14 on the Houston Texans. What?
I'm just saying, if we want to get an edge, we're
How
all
much
gonna have
alligator
to
dung
step.
did you snort yesterday?
Listen, Perloff shoes smell like alligator poop. I don't know.
Folks, I'm having trouble with the internet here, so I'm trying to form a joke
So's Maggie.
about... Yeah, I'm having trouble trying to form a joke about whether this guy is brothers of Fred Hoiberg, the former Bulls coach.
No, there's an eye.
Yeah, no, I know, but my internet's not helping. So that's what I got. Maggie's offering legit gambling advice.
You're telling me that they're sharing a DraftKings account, but there was nothing funny going on. Like, I'm sorry. I think they're saying nothing funny is going on because they want to try to keep the public faith in the sport.
That's a good point.
Thank you.
Yeah, we all agree with you.
And they went with an elaborate scheme, like all criminals do.
If
and
I
they got
win
caught.
twice.
But I think just saying it was an elaborate scheme. Stop trying to explain the scheme.
Well, I took some liberties. I want to really paint the picture for people.
No, I know, but if it's elaborate by detail, it's hard to communicate.
So what Donaghy used to do, he would call this guy, and if they would say, so is Bill going out tonight or is he staying at home tonight?
Oh, yeah.
Out meant the away team and in meant the home team or whatever.
Oh.
Yeah, guys, come on. Read.
The Eagles
stories. Read stories about horrible criminals.
Read stories or grow up in Binghamton, New York, where you're undoubtedly connected. Like, I don't know. If a lot of this feels a little too familiar, Maggie Gray.
I mean, listen.
If that is your name.
I didn't get enough vitamin D up there. That's for sure. Okay, folks, thank you.
Yeah,
that was
no,
awesome.
thank you.
I would wave goodbye to you, but our Zoom's no longer working. Okay,
I'm going to go
thanks.
win money with your betting ideas.
How many MLB umpires do you know?
Fred Hoiberg, not related.
Yeah, you dragged him into this
Glad
thing.
that's settled.
The mayor. Isn't he the mayor?
He is the mayor.
Yeah.
Or is that, Sean Casey, also former MLB player, the mayor, who did not bet on games, just to be clear.
San
Nothing
Diego
to do with
Chicken
this.
also on the up and up.
You keep dragging these people in. Yes, I tried to say the San Diego Chicken got Me Too'd.
Yeah.
Turns out I was dead wrong.
Maggie tried to cancel the San Diego Chicken.
I didn't try to cancel him. I just thought he was canceled. Big difference.
Yeah.
Says my
For
lawyer.
Inappropriate contact with the Philly fanatic.
Can't grope that fur. Everyone knows it. Okay, lots more to do, including with Saquon Barkley throwing shade at one of his best friends. We'll tell you next.
You're
Okay. All right, ready? All right. This.
3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, live from Radio Row in New Orleans. Poll question for you. Do you think the Chiefs benefit from an officiating bias? We're holding steady. 74% say yes. Definitely not good for the NFL. But, Perloff, this is a great opportunity here for your Eagles.
Yeah, because now the officials are aware of this storyline, and I think they're going to give the Eagles a call or two.
Well, I wasn't saying that necessarily. I don't think two wrongs make a right on this whole thing. I'm saying that this idea that to beat the Chiefs, you got to beat the Chiefs and the officials.
Yeah.
Has always kind of been, with every good team, really, like you really got to be the best to beat the champs. It can't come down to, a play here or there. You leave it up to the officials, it's probably not going to go your way. Mm-hmm. But if you are able to beat the Chiefs, it's almost like you did this impossible thing. Like, not only were you playing one of the best teams that we've ever seen in the NFL in terms of dynasties, but you also may have had the officials going against you, and despite all those long odds, you were the giant slayers. How about that?
Yeah, nah.
No, you don't care?
No, I don't think the Eagles are defining themselves against the Chiefs that much. I don't think the Eagles think they're going against history. For some reason, my vibe of when I hear the Eagles talk, they seem somewhat oblivious to the three-peat topic. I don't feel like they're viewing history. And I imagine when you're in an NFL season, you're so focused on the job ahead that I'm not hearing a ton of, man, to beat the Chiefs and knock them off the three-peat. Am I missing something? Maybe, because I think that they have so much going on with themselves with this kind of wild head coach in Nick Sirianni in the Saquon Barkley year, and do you trust Jalen Hurts and these defensive killers? So I don't know that they're measuring themselves against the Chiefs. Maybe I'm naive on this one.
Can we revisit this after the game? Because I think that if the Eagles win, I think you're going to hear a lot of, we weren't going to let them get the three-peat. So can we just revisit that? Because before the game, you're not going to give bulletin board material.
That could be exactly why. I'm not hearing a lot of them say we're not going to let them three-peat. You know what everyone says in the Super Bowl locker room? It's always the same thing. They never thought we were going to be here.
Yeah.
And even the Chiefs.
Even the Chiefs will say no one believed in us.
Yeah, like I remember one year the Steelers were actually like holding up predictions from a preseason magazine that had them in third place or something. They love that. Nobody believed in us. Like Patrick Mahomes is going to get up there and be like, yeah, we're the little team that could. No one saw this coming.
No, I don't think they can. There was once the Georgia Bulldogs, I think, were coming off the title, and someone picked them to win 6 games. I'm like, I don't even think this was real. It's like a fake burner account, probably from one of the assistant coaches.
Also, the Eagles are kind of like a lot of young players who, I don't know, like does Cooper DeJean know anything about the three-peat or Quinyon Mitchell? They don't feel like they're steeped in NFL history. They just got here.
So last night, opening night, with both teams meeting the media, Jameis Winston is now part of the media. He was doing some work for Fox Sports, and he was asking a question to Saquon Barkley, trying to find himself, Jameis that is, a new job.
Hey, one more question, Saquon. One more question. In this free agency, man, I'm a free agent. I really don't got no job. Who should sign me in free agency?
I think New York need quarterback right now.
New York? Who? Okay, brother.
I mean, Jameis to go with New York who, just to leave no doubt. Yes, he was talking about the Giants.
The horse is prepared for battle.
Yeah.
But victory comes from the Lord.
They need a quarterback. And Perloff, this is clearly shade at the Giants, and Saquon is, I'm sure, reveling in the fact that he gets to keep dunking on Manny's New York Giants. But a little bit of backhand towards Daniel Jones, and I thought these guys were boys. Yes, it is.
No, it's purely about I disagree with you. My read is it's about the Giants, who don't have Daniel Jones anymore. I think.
Yes, exactly. They chose wrong.
Well, I think Saquon's like, you let my guy go. More likely that he's like, you let my guy go, now you don't have a quarterback. And also, just the reality is they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, that's one read.
Daniel Jones is a Viking.
I think that the read was Daniel Jones, and this is why it's funny, because they actually are friends in real life, Jones and Barkley. But this is, if Daniel Jones had played better, Perloff, he'd still be the quarterback of the Giants.
That's not what Saquon was saying. That was not a rip at Saquon Barkley. That was a rip at the New York Football Giants franchise.
And by extension, his friend. It was a rare slip-up from Barkley, because he's pretty much perfect.
You're the only one. Nobody's thinking that was a rip at Daniel. Daniel Jones is a Viking.
Wait, well,
EJ,
so can
you're
it
with
be?
me.
Yeah, I'm more with Maggie. Now, I think it probably was more of an unintended stray. Like he wanted to get after the Giants, but like in order to get after the Giants, he had to hit his boy.
He didn't hit his boy because he's not a Giant. He's a Minnesota Viking.
Why is he a Viking?
That's literally the point.
Is he a Viking because he played great?
So the Giants in the summer get rid of Saquon, and then in the fall they give up on Daniel Jones. I'm sure Saquon didn't like that either.
No, but Saquon Barkley didn't get cut or let go because he wasn't good. They let him go because they didn't want to pay him.
Yeah, I'm sure he thinks that Daniel Jones was not given a fair shot in New York. If he really is his buddy, I don't think. I mean, obviously, the Giants are a mess way beyond Daniel. Nobody's even thinking that Daniel Jones sunk the Giants. Everyone thinks the Giants front office is a disaster right now, right? Like, does anybody think they're going to make the right decision here?
Well, no. Of course, you can point to the front office. They're the ones who paid Daniel Jones. They gave him a chance, and he was bad, and now he's on another team. And Saquon Barkley said they have an opening, and that was the first team he went to. How does Daniel Jones not take that as a diss?
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost positive that was not meant to be a diss at Daniel Jones.
Well, maybe he didn't mean it, but it definitely was. It definitely was.
I mean, if Daniel Jones was still there, then yeah, that would be a diss. But this is a team that cut Daniel Jones. I don't know.
Because he was bad and hurt and bad.
I'm pretty sure I know who Saquon's issue is with. And I think it is not happy with Joe Shane.
No, well, we all saw that play out on national television.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley.
For sure. Okay, updating the poll results. Do you think the Chiefs benefit from an officiating bias? 74% say yes. And I don't know. We met with Thomas Dimitroff, who works for an analytic company. He's giving the edge to the Eagles. Did that make you feel better?
Well, I forced him into it. No,
the numbers are the numbers.
No, I do think a lot of people think the Eagles are more talented. That doesn't mean anything against Patrick Mahomes. That means nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. I'm not saying Thomas's prediction doesn't mean anything, but the Eagles might have an analytic edge, and all that kind of goes away with 3 minutes left in the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Because the Bills, same thing. Like, it's not like you. What was that take?
The Bills were not favored in the game.
Who's the person who said that the Eagles have to destroy them to beat them? Phil Simms?
Chris Simms.
Chris Simms? Yeah, like if it's the problem, if it's your close game, there's something about the Chiefs that they know how to win those games.
Thank you to EJ Stewart, Manny Rodriguez, Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan. Thank you to our boy Frank, our guy, making sure we sound good, doing a great job. Thank you to Thomas Dimitrov. Thank you to Mike Jones. And thank you to the people at Kleber and Sons Gator Tours. Wow, were you great hosts.
You're in a 5-minute break.